This is for you new people. I only have one rule. Everyone fights, no one quits. If you don't do your job, I'll shoot you. You get me?
We get you, sir!
Welcome to the Roughnecks.
Rat Cats Roughnecks!
Better late than never, right? Sorry, I had a lot of video to sift through. There we go. Yeah. Sorry. Eventually, I get around to it. My class in session. You're correct. What do you think the red pill gets wrong? What do you think it does? What do you think we never talk about? Thumbnail. I got some good news for you if you like the song. Giovanni Sanders and I are working on it right now. Talked to him this morning, as a matter of fact. Thank you.
Misogyny.
Oh, boy. And speaking of misogyny... apologize in advance because I'm dead certain this stream is going to bog down like all of them do on StreamYard these days, and not just with my stream. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry. Hold on.
So crazy the things that men will say when their egos are bruised, typically for me when they take my content too personally. Recently, I've gotten feedback that my content can be viewed as toxic femininity, that I need to be careful about the rhetoric that I use, that it could make my boys feel like their very existence on this earth is flawed and that it's wrongful and it's an inconvenience. And that because I'm teaching them to be a good human and a good partner, they will not only hate me, but they're going to hate all women. And that I am working against myself to make men hate women. It's a little ironic because girls are too often, and this is not exclusive to culture, raised to believe that we are flawed, that our sole purpose is to end up with a man who will validate our entire existence. Work your entire life to build a career, but you're worthless until you're married. At which point, you should really put your career dreams aside because, you need to create a family. And by the way, the heavy lifting is going to be on you, so stop being selfish. Oh yeah, and can you please get your act together and put yourself together because you look like a mess. And all that being said, many of us don't hate all men, don't resent men, still choose men to be our partners and share our lives with. I wouldn't worry so much about my sons resenting me or all women. I'm going to put my snarkiness aside because it makes me sad that seeking equality is so threatening for some men, and that when I choose to do the only thing that I have in my power, which is to start change in my home with my boys.
And gaslighting my sons.
I've decided to move into another direction.
That's how you feel. I gotta respect it.
And that's all you have to say. If that's how I feel, I'm gonna respect it.
You
said your one-liner. If that's all you have to say, let's hug and let's just let it go. You ain't trying to fight for nothing.
You seem like you've already made your decision.
It ain't about me already making a decision. You don't have a rebuttal for nothing that I'm saying.
You seem like you've already made your decision.
I wanted you to say something. And you're not saying it. It's not time to listen. It's time to talk. All of the things you say you want to be there. You're here for me. You're all about the future and everything. You didn't even fight for a second.
So what does that say about you?
Women are more likely to be attracted to men who show dark triad traits. Narcissistic, Machiavellian, and psychopathic. People who have those traits are characterized by the mimicry of competence. And so what women want in men more than anything else is competent generosity.
Up with a blood diamonds dealer in South Africa, and then we took his private jet to like a gorilla reserve in Uganda where we like exchanged diamonds for cash, and then we flew home.
A guy who spent 10 years in prison for murder.
Whoa.
And he got out early on good behavior, but yeah, I dated a hardcore convicted felon. He had a tattoo in the middle of his forehead.
What did he sell? Blue and choppy?
It was white and choppy.
The fact that women would choose that 50,000 years ago, it made sense to couple up with a man who could do massive amounts of violence on your behalf. There were predators and there were other tribes trying to kill your men and steal the women. If you look through the anthropological record, men have axe wounds and crushed skulls and broken ribs. Women's skeletons were pristine. Nobody ever hurt the women. Having the biggest, strongest guy on your side made sense. Now, in 2023, you can be 5'9" and buy a Glock. You don't need to be the biggest, strongest guy. And if you look at recon Marines, Navy SEALs, and the best MMA fighters, almost all of them are under 6 feet tall.
What is your major
There's a lot of those women that can't access their softer side, that fierce independence is a trauma response in most cases, right? They feel like they have to be only that way, only strong. Like they can't access both because of where they've come from. And I tend to think that like people that have less judgment and like have been on both sides of things can access being softer and that empathy a whole lot more than the people that are still currently not healed.
Poker face, poker face.
Requires wisdom. Okay, that's a trait that I never hear people talk about. But if you want to be feminine, you need to have wisdom. Okay, that means you're wise and you can make good judgments. You're not just defaulting to whatever some dude says. You're able to say, yes, this is good. Yes, no, this doesn't really feel good or authentic to myself, and then make an informed decision from there. And you use that wisdom to therefore say, this is a time to embrace more strength. This is a time to fall back and be more gentle. It's the wisdom that I think puts you on that continuum of when to use or present with more strength or more gentleness.
And to be in flow, right?
Oh, yes.
Because I think that another trait that's very commonly associated with masculinity is linear, right? It's linear, and flow is not linear.
The one with her that I like, of her owning Rollo Tony Browntown.
Having a guy so that you will have sex with them.
For me, romantic chemistry is incredibly volatile. It's not based on any barometers of like, oh, he's in school, he has this career or anything.
So it could just be random dude off the street.
100%. I am not hypergamous at all.
You are so hypergamous, you won't have sex with a guy until the guy is the guy that you're looking for.
Of course, and then if I have had sex with guys and then they made less than me, and then you'd say, oh, because we broke up, it proves that none of those interactions counted, right?
I think the fact that you are a virgin right now just proves a point that you're like to a very high degree.
Dude, this guy is such a loser, bro. Look at him.
The fact that I'm abstinent means that I'm waiting for someone richer than me.
No, hypergamy doesn't mean women are bad.
When did I say bad? When did I even imply that?
Hypergamy is just an algorithm. It's an evolutionary adaptation that women have. It's not a negative or positive thing.
I'm not sure if it's an evolutionary adaptation. I think the reason women have historically been hypergamous is because they were barred from higher education, so obviously the average man was going to earn more than them, but by 2050 we're going to see a total reversal of hypergamy.
Hypergamy existed before there was money.
Hypergamy has nothing to do with money.
I'm using the current definition of hypergamy, which is that women date someone with a superior sociological or monetary background.
These guys are so dumb. She is so smart.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Oh, those guys are fine!
110%.
All right, well, whatever. She's great. Go check her out.
Yeah, she's great. Boy, wait till I show you how great she is here, Ethan.
Between insecure and boundaries, because here's the thing, a lot of men, like, they'll say, no, I'm not being insecure, I'm just setting boundaries. But you are being insecure, because here's the difference between insecure and boundaries. It's a secure man will see what you have to offer, like read the menu and decide if he will stay or leave.
Exactly.
An insecure man will say, you need to do this, you need to do this, rather than just saying, you are who you are, I'm gonna have to leave.
You're not right for me.
You're not right for me.
There we go. Much better. I have to put that little tag in there because I know I'm going to get copyright strikes for half of those. See, this is the hard work I do for you on every one of these goddamn shows, man. Let me tell you something. How are we doing? Apologize about being late. I have a new process that I have to follow before I do a show these days. And it requires me to pick up a 73-pound greyhound and take him in the backyard so he can take a piss and a shit before I do the show. Because if I don't, he's sitting there waiting for about 3-4 hours. So yeah, so gotta do things according by the book here. Just pointing that out. Oh, this guy right here. That's doing good. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys for helping me out with anything. by the way. So he's in the awkward stage right now where he wants to do more than he thinks he can. So I have to like really, really keep an eye on him because this is where he slipped the first time. So got to be careful of that. Anyways, let's see what else do we got going on. Do you like the Ethan Klein show? The Ethan Klein, like who am I to this motherfucker? Like where is this all coming from? And by the way, the reason I showed this last one, I'm going to come back to that one with Farrah because it is like, this is a work of art. I'm going to show you just how much of a work of art this is because it's like everything that's like, I'm dead ass certain that like these are the response videos to these things. And this is the new hotness, I guess, because I've seen the maybe I'm wrong in this. I could be wrong, but I see like Candace Owens reaction videos, right? And it's not all she's doing is just kind of like, and she doesn't say a goddamn thing, but the video's going. So it's like there's these like wordless reaction, like reel. You see most of these on TikTok or they'll be on Instagram. And I guess it's like sort of like a new way of doing it. So they say like, oh, Ben Shapiro responds to Rollo Tomasi. Like it could be like he has nothing to do with me whatsoever. And I could put my own video in the top frame and he's just there going, it doesn't say a goddamn thing. And it works. Okay. Welcome to the hack net, to the grift, my friends. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty funny, especially Ethan Klein, who's coming out of the woodwork. And by the way, it's like I got DJ Academics coming out. Like, what did I do? I didn't fucking say a goddamn thing. And then maybe I'm just living rent free in the dude's head. And then I got Marquette, what the hell is his last name? From Saint and Sinner, who was calling me out to do a debate. I'm like, dude, you could just like ask me and I'll do it. I'm friends with the guy. I like the dude. I like Marquette. I peace to the saints, my friends. I actually watch his show occasionally when I can. If it's something that I'm interested in, like if he's talking about something that it's, within my wheelhouse, I make a point to watch. I know he's in Vegas too. I've been wanting to do a show with Marquette for a while. And so he wants to do, like, he didn't have to sell it this way, I guess, but he wants to do a show kind of similar to what I'm doing today, which is going to be sort of, the red pill never talks about these things. Well, I think maybe your impression of what the red pill is probably limited in scope. And I'm trying to be as polite as I possibly can because I consider Marquette a friend. And so he wants to do a show with me. I think he wants to do it on December 9th, if memory serves. So watch out for that. I'm happy to do that. I just did a show with Creatrix, also Brandy. What's her name? I can't remember her last name, but I just did it on her show. God damn it. I'm so bad with show names these days. I'm lousy with show names. But I did a really good show with them. And what was it, Ryan? Somebody give me the name of that damn show. I just did it. Yeah, I know. And I realize this, but let me also explain something else to you. Weaponry Fitness is like, the other thing is, not to take anything away from MLD, but he's not going to defend the red pill as well as I think I can. And amongst the topics he wanted to talk about was like, who started the red pill, right? Which really is not even me, if you think about it. And although a lot of people want to like point back to my book or they want to point back before that, you know what? I'll go find that. Hang on one second, because it's too good to let that one go. Hang on a sec. I'm gonna find you the link. I was not prepared to throw this one out there really quickly, but it is. Where did I do it with? I want to say it was. I love how I can type in like Rollo Tomasi in the search engine, and it's like nothing. Oh, here's how you find Rollo's daughter. This actually might make for some really brilliant content. To actually go and see if I can figure out. God damn it. Hang on. It's in my history. Hang on. Where'd it go? There it is. Let's see. Apologize in advance for this, but it's too good to let you guys not in on this really good show that I did with them. It was Creatrix. And oh Jesus. Yeah, it was oh God. Anyways, I'll dig up. I don't want to waste time, but I'll dig it up. But it was a really good show, and a lot of the topics that we talked about on that panel show, I want to get into probably with Marquette, but obviously with myself here today as well. What's that? The Latin chick. Oh, yeah. Well, funny you should say that. I have that. The Latin chick. You mean the lawyer, porn lawyer, OnlyFans lawyer, Jasmine Jafar. It's it's funny is like if you look at Jasmine Jafar's look and you look at this chick right here.
One with her that I like of her owning Rolo Tony Brown
I'm
down.
so-
that you will have sex with them.
For me, romantic chemistry is incredibly volatile. It's not.
Okay. By the way, I'm going to explain this like on the fly here really quickly. Jasmine Jafar aims for this look too. It's the Mia Khalifa look is what it is. And later on in that show, the funniest line, and I gotta give it to Brian from whatever podcast he was halfway through the show. He was like, "Are those prescription lenses?" Because she didn't have lenses in those glasses; they were just for look. The Mia Khalifa, I guess, has sort of popularized this. I don't watch Mia Khalifa porn; it's not really my groove. But like, apparently, this wearing some glasses makes you sort of like gives you that kind of nerdy appeal, I guess, in porn. And maybe this is a OnlyFans thing. And people told me afterwards that that this is Farrah, by the way. She's one of Destiny's Angels, as Charlie's Angels. She's Destiny's Angels. She was also being fed information on her phone from Destiny during this show. So as admitted, by the way, I can show you the videos where he admitted to this. So, which proved him as a liar, by the way, because I know I nailed his ass to the wall, talking to, asking him about the, what was it? The super chat at the end of this show. And by the way, this is going all the way back to May. This goes, I think it was like the beginning of May that me and Justin Waller and Mike Sartain were on the whatever podcast. And it was a good show. It was fun. I'm happy to say it wasn't a 7-hour show like poor Andrew Wilson was forced to endure. But she's one of Destiny's Angels. So is Jasmine Jafar, by the way. If she's wearing these style glasses, she's probably one of Destiny's girls. Not so erudite, who was also on whatever podcast with Andrew Wilson just 3 days ago. And by the way, that bravo, Andrew, 7 hours. Holy shit, dude. I don't know if I could endure. Hell, I couldn't even endure 4 hours on Fresh and Fit. My God. But yeah, I just was say I meant to. Yeah. I'm gonna I'll display your let's see what should we call it at today? Let's do it at the $10 level. $10 and up. Well, I'll read out. I want to do you guys proper on this one. But this is Farrah, and I think what's interesting is the funny thing about this is this entire clip has been so hacked, and I'm going to show you where the hacking took place. I'm almost like I could almost create a new YouTube channel taking hacked videos and showing you, like doing reactions to hacked videos and showing you the full video and what you're not getting in it. Now that probably wouldn't fit the the 45-second, 1 minute time limit for most of these things. But the thing is it's interesting to me that like you see like Ethan, like why? Like who fucking cares, dude? And by the way, Ethan Klein, if you're watching this, and I'm sure you will, because you apparently I'm living rent free in your head as well. Invitation still on the table, brah. You want to come to Vegas? Me and Myron we would love to have that debate that we've been waiting for forever. Anytime you're ready, my friend. I'll give you a respectful debate. I'll give you a respectful talk. I will most definitely do a whole lot better than Pearl did on your show. You want us out there? Fine. Anytime, man. You know where to find it. Clearly, you know where to find us. So anytime you're ready, bro, come on. Las Vegas, your place, mine, wherever you want to go. Good to go. Let's get Myron involved. That offer's still on the table. I'm sure Myron would love to take you up on that too. Is that going to happen? Probably not. But I'd be happy to knock your dick in the dirt, especially over shit like this, because that's all it is. This is just content. It's just free content. And they're kind of going back in time here. Ethan Klein from H3H3. Yeah, I know who. I don't understand how this dude has an audience, to be quite honest with you. I don't think there's any educational value to his show. I don't even really think there's that much like entertainment value to his show, other than the fact that he wants to. You are correct, sir. You are correct. I have a new Pearl. Here's my Pearl sound drop.
Have you ever had a dream that want him to do you so much you could do anything.
That's the new Pearl drop. Anytime you mention Pearl, you're going to get that. Okay. Thank you, Big Mo, for dropping that one on me. That was great. Yeah, it's whenever I hear Pearl trying to explain something, like when people call her on something, like Ethan Klein did, like on that interview. Yeah, this was the response.
Have you ever had a dream that you had?
Yeah, that. Yeah, I don't even want to call it filibustering. It's just like you got to fill space. Filibustering, at least you have like a point and you kind of like put it back on somebody. Anyways, I'm going to show you guys the actual full video of this, just this one section, so you know where this is getting cut up, because Ethan Klein actually isn't the first one to do this style of reaction. You notice how it's like on the top it's him and on the bottom it's the clip. That's what I'm talking about. This is the new hotness right now. Just look for this now. You're going to see a lot of other content creators pick up on this, because what they're doing is they're taking really a hacked clip. It's like what is it? Subletting the clip. You know, it's a subcontracting the clip is what it is. Is you got a clip and then you put your shit on top of it and then you turn that into your own reel. God damn, man. Like I said, it's a work of art, really. Of course she does. So I'm going to show you the rest of this, because I also have, and I'm this close to actually showing you guys the actual, what I have on Farrah. I don't know if I should, because, afterwards, I kind of I almost felt sorry for her afterwards, but I can tell you this. And Brian from whatever podcast just asked me this. He said, did Farrah hook up with Justin Waller after this show? I can't say that they did, and I can't say that they didn't, but I do know that she slid into his DMs, and I have proof of that. Absolute 100% confirmed proof of that. So there's your hypergamy right there. I'm not hypergamous. Hi, Justin. When are you going to be in Miami next? And you know what? She won't refute that because she knows I have it. Yeah, I thought this was funny, but so I'm gonna rip through this real quick. But I mean, we'll come back to that. I don't really need to jump into that just right off the rip here. But yeah, she wanted to get with Wall. By the way, the morning after that show, that show was on May 7th, and I think May 8th was when she slid into his DMs, wondering when he was going to be in Miami and if they could link up or something like that. I don't know if they ever did. I can either confirm nor deny those rumors. But I do have the messages, the screen caps of the messages. So yeah, that was pretty funny. All right. I asked this question on Twitter right before the show started today. And I want to do my audience proper here. Because I had some people who were asking me questions. Now, the point of today's show is I wanted to do a few things here. One of the things is I wanted to get into I guess I hate to call it myth busting, because it's not really myth busting, but I constantly see this criticism of women as well, who want to claim that they know so much about the red pill that it hasn't covered whatever it is that they're talking about. And I have to kind of give you a little bit of build up here before I kind of launch into this. As usual, I got to give you the preamble and give you the preview here. So let me set this up for you. Whenever somebody says, "Oh, those red pill guys say X," right? I was thinking to myself, you know what? That's actually a really good opportunity to give some sort of nutritional value to this show and really just sort of settle things out, right? At least make a college try at it, right? At least make an effort to clarify a few things. I'm gonna dig into hypergamy today, because I see that getting brutalized. I see people making memes about assortive mating versus hyper. Let me tell you something about assortive mating. Assortive mating, as a theory of mating strategies, was put to bed probably 2007, 2008. And the reason I know that is because when I was in the SoSwap forums during those times, we hashed that thing out. We hashed the difference between hypergamy versus assortive mating. I'm going to dig into that a little bit, because I think a lot of people think, "Ha, gotcha." No, dude. we've been talking about this for a long time. And that sort of led me to another thread, stream of consciousness here. That led me to another thread. Thank you for it. Yeah, I was going to say that was actually a pretty good real zero. Sorry, you got me all over the place, Robert. So when I was thinking about this, I'm like, that kind of leads into the miscommunication or the conflation or whatever. Like there's always these assertions that the red pill hasn't thought of these things. It hasn't thought of this. What about marriage? What about relationships? What about a sort of mating? Like you're hitting on things we covered, like in some cases almost 18, 20 years ago. And the reason why you think that's novel and gotcha is because you don't realize that the red pill is like 20 plus years old, or at least the inception of it was about 20 years ago. Because people's impression right now of like what is like intersexual dynamics and what are these guys talking about? Well, why do they say what they say? That's why I'm writing the Maxims book right now, because people think that a lot of these like little snappy, jingoisms that the red pill uses, women break rules for alphas and they make rules for betas. Like that's a jingoism. That's kind of like a saying, like a quotable kind of thing that we have. It's a maxim is what it is. Or if I say, women have boyfriends and girlfriends, if you're not fucking her, you're her girlfriend. Why does they say that? Sounds outrageous. Why would Rollo say something like that? Well, I can sit here and explain it to you in great detail, and your eyes are going to glaze over, and you're not going to really care. You're not going to give two shits about it, right? So, oh, Jesus Christ. We already got one? Okay, hang on. Ban that dude. You're out. Wait. If I ban you, you get one of these. Well, I could give you that.
Dump that bitch.
Actually, it's this one.
Bye, Felicia.
So when I see these guys who say that, oh, the red pill hasn't covered this, they haven't covered that, dude, you don't know enough about the red pill. You want to have no more friends? You don't know enough about the red pill to make that call. You don't know enough about it to actually speak knowledgeably on those on such things, right? But then I also have to balance that out. Devil Mountain Coffee. I have to balance that out with being comprehensive and being concise. And nobody's got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Nobody got time to read anymore. They certainly don't read, unless I'm doing something on Substack. I have a dedicated like following on my Substack. And if you want to follow me on Substack for all my writing right now, the link is actually the third one down in the description right now. But that's where I do a lot of my sort of hashing things out for the shows, as well as my books and everything. I'm really getting, of course, I have so much downtime right now because of Ned that I'm back into writing once more. But the greater misconception is this: is in ambiguously talking about those red pill guys, they make presumptions. And this is not me looking, by the way, this is not me looking for like credit or accolades or anything. I want to clarify things here. Looking for ambiguous reasons or looking for some way, whether it's for content or it's just to sort of affirm, deeply held ego invested beliefs, whatever it is. Okay. I can understand that part, but let's at least clarify it so you know what you're fucking talking about instead of talking out your ass, because most of these people are talking out their ass. And then it doesn't help when you got like, and I don't know who did this clip here.
Parameters of like, oh, he's in school, he has this career or anything.
So it could just be random dude off the street.
100%. I am not hypergamous at all.
You are so hyper.
You see that jump cut right there? There's a whole other section in between that. And so it's, like I said, it's artfully done to sort of break up the conversation to make it look like, oh, she owned him. And the only reason I even knew about this, by the way, was because Lana, who I stupidly went on her show to talk to her about this kind of stuff. Lana, Laughing with Lana, go look it up if you want. She had brought this to my attention at first, and she's like, "Oh man, Rollo got owned, Mike got owned." Like they're just looking for any thread, any like moment, any chink in the armor, right? Any way in, like, and then. So when you see something like this and you don't know the entire exchange that was happening between myself and Farrah at that time, and you don't know what happened afterwards, you come off with this, oh, look, he got owned. It's Rollo Tony Brown town. Like, what? Like, who the fuck am I to you, man? But I when I see this, it's like it drives me fucking nuts because I know the conversation that went on. And then I also know how old this clip is. This clip is from like May, the beginning of May of this year. And so we're going to go back and reheat this. Well, of course we are, because it looks like one of Destiny's Girls got the best of me, or got the best of Mike, or got the best of Justin. No, it's just very creative clipping is what it is. And I'll show you why. Yeah. Did you see that? Is that laughing with Lana with Rolo? Yeah, rolling with Rolo. It should have been, huh? So I might pull that out real quick. So today's sort of topic is, what do you think that the red pill has never talked about? I did a quick poll on Twitter here. I'm getting back to the guts of it right here. And I asked this. I basically asked the same question. I said, what do you think the red pill still needs to cover? I even had Ryan Stone ask me this. He said the opinions of Pearl and Mike Sartain. And I've already talked to, I think the only really major disagreement I have with Mike Sartain, it comes down to like, can men and women be friends? And I've got my own interpretation of that. And I think he understands what I'm talking about. And I don't know if I can say I've met him halfway or he's met me halfway on this, but I do understand his necessity to maintain friendships with women. Obviously, it's what he does for a living, clearly. But my joke is, it's like, yes, you can be friends with women if you're fucking them. I fuck my friends. Okay, well then I guess that works for you. Garrett Gaines wanted to ask me, he says, placeholder boyfriends for girls in their party years, which I'm going to presume he means, where is this, Garrett? I'm going to presume you mean right here. In the party years, really, I should back up the party years to about 18 to 28 on this. This is, by the way, if you're wondering where this graph comes from, it comes from my second book. Here it is. It comes from Preventive Medicine. In fact, pretty much damn near the whole book is based on this graph and a little bit of this too. But getting back to it here, during the party years, are there like placeholder boyfriends? I can answer that for you right now. Yes, the red pill has already covered this. It's the Ross and Rachel from Friends dynamic phenomenon. What do you mean, Rolo? Well, there was an episode on Friends where Ross and Rachel, I think they broke up, or they were going to take a break. It was, we're taking a break. Do you guys remember that? Probably not. But they were taking a break. And by the way, Friends is one of those sitcoms or one of those shows that if you watch it now with a red pill lens, it's a horror show. It's like, you're like, I can't believe. Like if you look at Ross and Joey and you look at Chandler and you look at them, you look at the archetypes of like masculinity that they represent. You've got Joey, who's like sort of the dumb himbo, but good looking, he gets laid without even trying. Then you've got Chandler, who is kind of like somewhere in between the two of them. And then you got Ross, who's just this simpy blue pill chump. The entire, for 6 seasons, 7 seasons. And you got Chandler, who's kind of in the middle, who kind of like helps to explain he's dealing with, Joey, who's kind of like not so smart, but he's a good looking dude and he gets laid. Right. And then there's Ross, who would do anything for Rachel. And he's like the dyed in the wool simp. And then you've got Chandler in the middle of the two of them. And he's just trying to figure things out. He's almost like I want to call him the gamma male, but he's sort of like the guy who makes lists and tries to figure out why things work. Right. I mean, as far as the character and the archetype is concerned. But if you look at getting back to what Garrett Gaines was talking about, the placeholder boyfriend is really the wait for me dynamic. And in that episode of Friends, they break up or they take a break or they split up and they make a pact, like they make an agreement, Ross and Rachel. If you're 30 and when we get to be 30 years old, if you're still single and I'm still single, then we'll get married. That is the most fucked up, it's comedic, right? It's supposed to be funny. It's humorous, right? Oh, okay. Ha ha ha. I guess I'll wait for you. That sounds like a brilliant idea. Well, that's because Rachel is a hot, Jennifer Aniston, is a hot piece of ass who is in her party years, who hasn't quite got to the epiphany phase. It hasn't quite got to the, that phase of life right around 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, right in that section right there. And of course, a deal like that is fantastic for a woman who's going through her party years and trying to find essentially trying to maximize and consolidate the best of her attractiveness and the best of her abilities to consolidate on long-term security with the hottest guy she can get, who has provisioning, protection, and parental investment, yes, but also is a hot guy in the foam cannon party. Alpha fucks, beta bucks, trying to find the perfect balance between those two. So when Ross and Rachel are making that agreement, it's like who has the cards? Who holds the cards in that situation between 18 and 28 or 29 and 30, right? Well, of course it's a woman. And this is another, it's a really great illustration of why I tell guys, like, stay single until, don't even consider monogamy until you're 30 years old. They go, well, Rollo, you didn't do that. Yeah, I know. I'm telling you, I'm telling you right now. You know, I will tell you this. If I had it to do over again, I might have waited another 2 years before I got married with my wife, but only because I know that I would have been more developed. I would have been more towards what my maximum, my best potential could have been during those years. I'm going to also point out a couple of memes here today that are actually related to that. Thank you, Garrett, for that. There's this idea that hypergamy must be false because Rollo said so. But when you look at my graph here, and again, this is an ancient ass graph from 2014 from my first book, and if you had read this chapter, you would know. But I always peg guys' maximum potential at right around 36 years old, somewhere in there. And again, that's if you make the most of it. That's what is it? There's no greater. What is it? There's no greater sin than untapped potential or unrealized potential. The graves are filled with men who never achieved their greatest potential. And so that's half the reason. And you know what? People say, well, Rollo's he's disincentivizing guys from getting married before they're 30 or okay. I'm not doing that. The national average is doing that. So if you look at women and you look at men get the average age of first marriage today, thank you, Jim Sexton, is 32 for men and 30 for women. That's not because I said anything. It's because that's just what makes sense. That's because people don't want to get together. Marriage doesn't make much sense anymore. Like for most guys, they don't understand, they don't see the what problems does marriage solve for men. They don't know. Even women on that case, they don't want. Hell, half of these chicks in the intro videos don't want to get married, or they're pissed off, or they want to have some equal partnership. I'm going to talk to you today. I'm going to also talk to you about how modern marriage is based on Marxism. Quote me on that one. So, anyways. Getting back to it, yeah, the placeholder boyfriend or the wait for me boyfriend is really along those lines. You have a placeholder, so just in case you don't get with the guy, or it's like, was it the plan B? And I noticed a lot of guys reheating this old data set. It's women always have a plan B. And actually, Sammy, can you go grab my plan B? My plan B. I'm sorry. My plan B article that I have on the Rational Male. We've been talking about plan B, how women hold like men in reserve for a long time. And now I'm starting to see like some of these memes on Instagram talking about, most women, 50% of women have a guy waiting in the wings in case things don't work out with their marriage, with their boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, they've been doing that since 2014, somewhere around there. It's in it's in Positive Masculinity. I think I put that as a chapter in Positive Masculinity. So there's another thing that the red pill has already covered, at least in my respect, anyways, already covered this. So, but thanks for that question. That was great. Let's see. Free TV asked me this. He said, assuming a man has comprehensive understanding of sexual dynamics and the nature of women, what does this tell us about the nature of true masculinity? Well, what's true masculinity and how it is expressed through interactions with women? Describe the influence of masculine men. Describe the influence a masculine man has on a woman. Okay. Why women are fundamentally submissive, how masculinity is the antidote to the existential anxiety in women. Okay. Why the lack of masculine men is the source of societal decay. No problem. In fact, if you had read, let's see, did I put this? I put this in Religion. Maybe that's why you don't know where I put this in the book Religion. And that everything you just asked me, Free TV, is I covered that in my fourth book, which is Religion, and I covered it in one chapter, and that chapter is the Big Head Babies chapter, and I'll dig that up for you here in a second. Number 2, if every man in society were an embodiment of true masculinity, how would their presence influence female behavior socially and politically? Why women only express the destructive side of their nature in the absence of masculine authority, and why women wouldn't be involved in politics whatsoever. Understanding the praxeology means nothing if it remains an intellectual fairy tale. Okay, well, the red pill is meant to be taken as an antidote to remove ideas and concepts that are corrosive and to innate masculinity. Men who embody their untainted nature have a certain way which influences women in certain ways. Understanding what it means to be a man and how deeply male behavior influences women is critical to maintaining society. I don't disagree with you there. Romantic relationships are a byproduct of genuinely embodying what the red pill teaches. Okay, the red pill does not teach. Understanding the power and the responsibility of masculinity will save the world. Okay, well, I think you're reading quite a bit into that, but the best way I can describe that to you is through Big Head Babies. Let's see if I can find Big Head Babies here, because it's this is I've gotten into this before, and this is let's see how exhaustive this actually is, but let me see if I can get this for you. This is, in fact, I am going to pull up, where'd it go? Religion just for you. Even my, where is it? Oh, Crisis Masculinity, is that where it is? Let's see if I can find it for you. Big Head Babies. Okay. Now, let's see. Hopefully this will be the starting point for your question there, Free TV. So here's where we're going with this. Now, you can find this also, I should say, in my fourth book, Religion. Okay, this is the Big Head Babies. It's in the. There's actually a chapter in Religion called Crisis Masculinity, and in there, this is the section you'll find. It's called Big Head Babies. Okay, most women fancy themselves as alpha females by order of degree, but they never really understand that strong, independent women as a brand they identify with is based on a masculine dynamic. Essentially, they're alpha males with breasts and vagina. It's hard for women to give up the fantasy, especially when they live in an era when men are portrayed as vile, stupid, untrustworthy, and dependent on women's unique feminine powerfulness to save them from themselves. This old order narrative instills a sense of empowerment in women based on false narratives. They're taught to resist an easily hated straw man of masculinity, which is more to your point, and one made all the easier to knock down in our globalized 24-hour online consciousness. Hypergamy is dualistic. Once again, coming back to it, alpha seed, beta need, cads versus dads. But half of that desire, the desire for protection, provisioning, and parental investment, emotional investment, familiarity, and comfort in men is rooted in a need for security, a long-term need for security. I'm going to see if I can tighten this up for you a little bit. Women are the vulnerable sex. So while women hate to be called the weaker sex, biologically speaking, women are the evolutionary nature, or God has made women the more vulnerable sex. The realities of our ancestral past dictated that women and their offspring were dependent on men for protection from a chaotic and dangerous world. That need for security is something women still innately seek today. Why? Okay, here we go. Very simple answer. Why? Because human babies have huge heads. And this will answer every single question you've asked me just a minute ago. Eggs are expensive and sperm is cheap. If you have even a marginal interest in intersexual dynamics, no doubt you've heard this somewhere. Even if you haven't, if you're a new religious reader, or you have some learned or instinctual grasp of men's duty for sacrifice. Particularly tradcons want men to be men and long for the golden era of traditional gender roles. But how do we get to those roles in the first place? While a lot of guys in the new order, in the 21st century, question men's obligation for self-sacrifice, in a social context, evolution has designated men as the disposable sex, the sacrificial sex, especially if that disposability leads to promulgating the human species. Nature, it seems, takes far more risks with males of virtually every species in myriad ways. But why are eggs expensive and sperm is cheap? Beyond the obvious answer, one egg cell versus millions of sperm cells, the answer is simple. Human babies have giant heads. So it goes something like this. Human beings survive by being smart. Okay, we don't have claws, we don't have teeth, we don't have antlers, we don't have like natural weapons, but our natural weapon is right here. Okay, to make a smart brain, you need lots of neurons. To make a lot of neurons, you need to start early in the gestation process, which means human babies are going to have giant heads, but you need to get those babies out of their mothers. So their mothers need inefficiently wide hips, sophisticated brain incubators, and a whole bunch of other expensive reproductive system modifications. Thus, human females are vulnerable and physically helpless compared to the majority of males. You also have to deliver those babies early while the heads are still small enough to fit through those widened hips. As such, every human baby is essentially born premature and requires a comparatively long time to reach self-sufficiency. For comparison, infant horses can run a few hours after being born. Okay? In our ancestral past, a human female was vulnerable, inefficient, a weaker physical specimen who, for much of her life, is carrying around one or more weak and delicate offspring. Neither can run, fight, or hunt. And hunt, let's highlight that. Neither can run, fight, or hunt. We're going to talk about hunting here in just a moment. Unlike females of other species, human females were constantly dependent on the males to protect, feed, and care for them. Thus, the provisioning security side of hypergamy became a very important priority. Last, as a result, human females also acquired a proximity of some of the fragility and importance of humanity's very expensive and fragile children. Now, a problem arises in this reality. How do you prevent a male from tyrannizing the females to the detriment of the species? By imbuing the males with the same protective instinct towards them that women have towards children. So let's stop there just for a second. When you hear red pill guys talking about how they look at women as sort of like emotion, like at some point they kind of refer to them as children, or as maybe just sort of like somebody you have to coddle, you have to make sure that their feelings aren't hurt, whatever. That is, I think it can be taken out of context and it can be taken to like illogical, stupid extremes. But the nature of that feeling of wanting to protect, provide, that natural innate protector instinct that most men have when it comes to, unless you're like really super like psychotic or psychopathic, right? That's a natural innate function that's hardwired into our natural, evolutionary firmware in our brains. If you don't believe me, I can point out mass shooting events where men will literally put themselves in the line of fire and take bullets for women that they don't even know. Exactly that happened in in the Aspen, Colorado shooting with James Holmes. Same thing happened, unfortunately, more recently in Las Vegas back in 2017 with the mass shooting event that happened there. Men put themselves bodily in front of harm's way to protect, and without thinking. It was instinctual. It wasn't like, oh, let me think about this. Oh, you know what? We're supposed to be equal. Fuck that. I'm out. No, it was an instinctual response. And that's why I, you can take me to the carpet with this if you want, but that's one of the reasons why I say that, men have an innate protection like nature towards women and towards children, and probably towards I love my dog too. So maybe some of that sort of flows over into cute animals and shit. Okay. So by imbuing males with the same protective instinct towards them that women have towards children. And how do you prevent the females from exploiting that protective instinct to take advantage of the males, which is what's happening right now, or from making themselves unprotectable by ignoring male guidance? More to your point, by imbuing women with the same instinctive obedience towards men that children have towards women. So here we go. To sum this up, I'll try to tie this up for you. So because humans have giant heads, babies have giant heads, men instinctively protect and care for women. Women instinctively want to obey and respect worthy men. Worthy, put that in there. Women are to men as children are to women. Okay, protection. That's the protection, innate male protector dynamic. Humans strive for a learned socially enforced monogamy, despite an innate nature that incentivizes a more efficient promiscuity as a mating strategy. When people have asked me, and I think it was Jesse Preston who asked me this not too long ago, or I think maybe I saw this in a reel of hers on Instagram. There's this sort of, women want to point out like this double standard, right? Oh, it's a double standard. You know, men can go bang as many women as they want, and women are sluts if they bang a lot of men. Well, according to new data, courtesy of Mike Sartain, the national average, by the way, of sexual partners is actually 14.8 right now. I will show you the data on that. So let's see where I get that. Pull that out of there. Okay, so we are, whenever I get asked this question quite a bit, is, are human beings innately promiscuous or are human beings innately monogamous? And the answer is yes to both of those. It is possible for those to be affirmative at the same time. So we are promiscuous, yes, by nature. Do we want, everybody wants some, right? David Lee Roth was right. Everybody wants some. But it is in our collective best interests that we form at least somewhat long-term bonds with a woman so that we can raise our fragile children from infancy to at least some kind of self-sufficiency. So is monogamy also part of, is that part of human nature? Yes, both of those can be true. So this is what I address this here in this part right here. So sexism is hardwired into our species by evolution as an inevitable result of our giant heads. Every religion, social philosophy, or sexual strategy is grounded in working with these two instincts: the female instinct to submit and the male instinct to protect. Traditional conservatism, tradcons, is an attempt to maximize the male protective instinct through indoctrination and social learning, which is exactly what, that's why I'm going to call him into the carpet and see if he's a real man, right? What's true masculinity? Well, essentially that's what this is getting at. Tradcon conservatism is an attempt to maximize the male protective instinct through indoctrination and social learning for the benefit of women. Remember when I tell you, whenever you listen to someone like, say, Ben Shapiro, or you listen to Matt Walsh, or you listen to these guys even Richard Reeves, right? Who are just, they'll tell you, men need to man up and they got to take more responsibility and they got to do the right thing, man. And if they just took more responsibility, men will be better, then women will be better too. No, they won't. Because there's also another half of this I'm going to tell you about. But it's this appeal to that innate male protective instinct, which is the root of duty, honor, loyalty, monogamy, stay with your wife, don't fuck anybody else. You want to know why all these people lost their minds when Justin Waller was talking about pressing the red button, right? If you could get away with cheating, every man would. And one thing I didn't mention during that, this was from last week's show, one thing I didn't mention was that during that interview, I've talked to Justin since then, but during that interview, when he was saying, every man would press that red button, and every tradcon guy that came out of the woodwork to say, I would never press that button. I have more respect for myself and I have more respect for my wife. And it's just this opportunity to virtue signal. But yet, in a virtual sense, those guys press that red button every time they log on to Pornhub, because that's what they're doing. They're just doing it in vicariously, right? So if you go and you look at the stats for, I think it's something like 70% of Christian men report having a pornography addiction or a habit or it's a problem for them in some way. These are the guys. Those are the dudes Okay. So you're still pressing the red button. You're just not doing it by, with the girls that we have in Access Vegas. You're not doing it like live in real time because either you don't have the opportunity, maybe you don't have the reason, but you're still jerking off to porn. And you're still wanting to vicariously have that same experience. So you're in essence, you are still pressing that red button every time you log on to Pornhub and you rub one out. So keep that in mind before you get self-righteous about a guy like Justin Waller who can press the red button and has, basically established his life so that he can do that. At least he's above board with it. I'm not saying it's right. I don't think it's right, but at least he's above board with it. At least everything's on the table. So, and maybe things will change. Who knows? Okay. Now the next thing here, feminism. When we talked about conservatism, let's backtrack. Traditional conservatism is an attempt to maximize the male protective instinct through indoctrination and social learning for the benefit of women. So whenever you hear Matt Walsh or Ben Shapiro talking about like, oh, we need men to man up and be better men. They want you to be better men for women, for the benefit of women. They don't care about you. They simply don't care about you. In fact, there wouldn't be a problem. No one would even give two shits about the crisis of masculinity right now if it wasn't affecting women. Women can't find a good husband once they get to 30 years old. Once they get tapped out of their like 18 to 28, once they get out of their hoe phase, there's no beta, there's fewer and fewer betas in waiting, dumb and, ready to go into the future. Don't know anything about their potential. Don't know anything about the red pill. There's fewer and fewer of those. And the problem is like when you listen to the rhetoric of a Ben Shapiro or a Matt Walsh or a Michael Knowles or just insert the TradCon name in there. Whenever you hear that rhetoric, it's not for the benefit of men. It is for the benefit of women. That's where it comes from. And this is where, again, published this in 2021, started writing it in 2017. Feminism is an attempt to minimize the female submissive instinct, also through social indoctrination to enable women to more ruthlessly exploit the male protective instinct. Let me read that again. Feminism is an attempt to minimize the female submissive instinct, also through social indoctrination, to enable women to more ruthlessly exploit the male protective instinct. Does that sound like responsibility versus authority, like we've talked about 1 billion times on this show? The red pill, here it is. It is not a philosophy. It is not a belief set. It is not a religion. It is not nobody's teaching anything. Nobody's, there's no sermonizing here. The red pill is just a praxeology, but the red pill is an attempt to teach men or to educate men to selectively suppress the male protective instinct to avoid its exploitation by women who are conditioned to not be submissive. Get it? Even the old order tradcons and feminists alike worked tirelessly towards a common goal of female rebellion and emancipation from this evolved order. In the new order, men must be freed from the unconscious knee-jerk expression of their protective instincts before they can deal with women in a way that maximizes their benefit rather than that of a stranger. A world dominated by feminism, gynocentrism, and feminists incentivized traditional conservatism is a world where men prioritize the interests of women and women prioritize the interests of themselves. It is a world half full of adults who must protect children they have no authority over and half full of unsupervised children. Now that is the end. There's other one. I could keep going on, but that's the nuts and bolts of big head babies. There you have it. Bravo, bravo. Cool. All right. Let me get to some of these. So I hope that answers the question for damn near every one of those articles on there. It is an innate protective instinct. Patriarchy is an innate, it's the logical outcome of that dynamic. Men as protector, women as the vulnerable sex who rely upon, who depend upon the strengths, dominance, capacity for violence, provisioning, protection, parental investment, and he also has to be hot. Well, what does that mean? Well, the alpha fuck side of it is the short-term genetic breeding side of it. Is he a good bet for is sexy sons? Is he a good bet for my children's genetic future? Is he broad? Does he have big shoulders? Does he have V taper? Does he have a strong jawline? Does he have a six-pack abs? It's a 6'6", right? 6 feet tall. And yes, height it means a lot. Yes, it does. We're going to talk about that today too, because that was another one. The red pill doesn't talk about height. No, asshat. We've talked about height more than I can think of. All right, let me get to some of these. Rational Trucker. I apologize in advance if these things start to choke, because I think they probably will. I just finished No More Mr. Nice Guy. What are your thoughts on the book? It's kind of outdated. Will the 10th anniversary of The Rational Male be released before Christmas? That's what I'm aiming for right now. I've got lots of time now that I'm sort of housebound with Ned. I'm collecting double sets for my nephew. In 10 years, he'll be 18. Good for you. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can I be in charge for once?
What'd you get here? I sent an email to Softwhite Underbelly. Well, thank you for doing so. I appreciate that. Let's just say I would be cautiously optimistic. Cautiously pessimistic, maybe. I didn't like the way that Latin chick, Jasmine Jafar, with an annoying voice, tried to use you as a proxy to bash Myron. Not sure which one. Maybe that wasn't Latin. Was that her? I'm not sure. I meant the one that smokes weed, one of Mike's friends. Oh, Lana. You're thinking Lana. Yeah. Oh, that was on Laughing with Lana. Yeah. It was a setup, but it was a good setup at the very least. Thank you very much for that. Marty Martz, greetings, Rolo. Howdy, class. Gave a copy of The Rational Male to my surgeon who has 3 sons he's worried about. He read it and had an epiphany too. This man is in his early 60s. Awesome. Can I give you one more suggestion? Get him for Christmas. Get him Positive Masculinity, which is the 3rd book, because the first 2/3 of this book is dedicated to red pill parenting because of exactly this. The red pill, Rolo, the red pill doesn't talk about parenting. Bullshit. I got a whole book written on it. The red pill doesn't. No. Tell you, have you read the book? No. The red pill doesn't talk about X, Y, and Z. You'd be mistaken. I wasn't talking about the Jafar chick. Yeah, now I get it. You're talking about Lana. Yeah. She only wanted an interview to diss Myron. Yeah. You know why? Because she got booted. Because she got kicked. And honestly, and I told her this too, this is on and off the air as well. I said, you know what? You came to a gunfight stoned is what you did. And look, is it me? It's probably me. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just the company I keep. But ladies, why do you smoke so much fucking weed? So much THC, man. Every single, even the chicks who aren't in porn, it's that's all it is. God damn it, man. If you want to be on top of your game, if you're really into this, you want to be, I'm an entrepreneur. Stop smoking weed, for fuck's sake. Half the reason Lana got booted is because she was semi-conscious. It was catatonic when she was there. Oh, I can't keep up. I don't remember things so well. Yeah, because you're fucking stoned. Oh, the other thing, and this is again, maybe this is on Myron, but when I watch these shows, it could be, it happens on whatever podcast too. Sometimes it happens on Access, on my show too. No, mea culpa. But we reach a point of diminishing returns, right? You get up to you have a really good conversation, probably for the first hour, maybe hour and a half, depending on what the topic is. And then the third White Claw kicks in, or the Cosmo, it goes from what is it, cranberry and vodka to just vodka. That's when you hit the point of diminishing returns, and you risk hitting the point of negative returns. So I would argue, ladies, if you have a problem with Myron, most of these chicks just want to throw rocks at Myron just because they think he's arrogant, he's a prick, right? Well, if he is a prick, it's because he's dealt with that shit for like 3 years, coming up on 3 years now. In January, it'll be 3 years. Yeah, he knows what he sees it coming. And you want to know why his tolerance level isn't what it used to be? He's been doing it for 3 years, man. So yeah, I get it. But again, if the chicks are there, tossing back Hennessy the whole time they're there, or White Claws, whatever the fuck it is, whatever is in those red Solo cups. Yeah, you might want to cut them just a touch of slack because they're drunk. They're not going to be able to carry on a conversation, even though they can. It's like you'll know when you get to that point of diminishing returns when you get the verbal diarrhea from the girls on the panel show. It's like, I got it. And the problem is like, you're not stoned and you're not drunk. You're sober as a pastor on Sunday, right? I'm there with a cup of coffee every show. I do not drink. I do not smoke weed. I am the last of the clean livers, my friend. Don't drink, don't smoke. What do you do? But then I'm trying to, I have to remember, and this is like something I kind of consciously have to keep in the back of my head is this girl's probably, she came in, she was easy to talk to and she was like really on board with it and having a really good conversation. And then by like hour 1 or hour 1:20, they're drunk, they're buzzed. They want to keep talking. They think that what's coming out of their mouths is logical, and it's really not. And so it's up to you as the host to go, all right, you're fucked up. I'm going to moving on to someone who's not fucked up. I'm a red pill 80s metalhead bass player in SoCal. Awesome. Horns up for you, my friend. We are the same age, 55. How does one learn about what, when, and where you perform? If you do, I do perform. We perform primarily we do two things. So are you asking me about Trial of Ascension? Because I'll stop the show to tell you all about that. I am one of 2 guitarists in Trial of Ascension. I'm really the rhythm guitarist because I can play solos and we do dual leads, but I really kind of leave that up to the virtuoso who is CJ Straw, not CJ Sparks, CJ Straw. He's the lead guitarist and really kind of the heart and soul of the band, quite honestly. And someone I have tremendous respect for as a musician and just as a human being as well. He gives me hope for Gen Z. So I'm one of 2 guitarists in Trial of Ascension. If you would like to listen to us, we're always in every single description. Oh, and then also, by the way, people keep asking about like who plays that outro music. It's great, man. I love it. That's Giovanni Sanders. If you want to, all you got to do is click more on the little drop down to find out more about the show in the description, because his link to his Spotify link is there, and he's got some great new stuff that's already out right now. I don't rave about Giovanni enough. I think I'm trying to get him to perform. I want him to come to Las Vegas so that so I can build him a band so he can play live. But as far as Trial of Ascension playing live, we play primarily in 2 places. We do mostly Reno area. There's actually a very thriving metal scene in Reno. Weird as that sounds. And then we're looking into doing festival. I want to get us down to Vegas too. I'd like to play Vamped in Vegas. But I want to start looking at festivals. I would really like to play Rockville in Daytona, Florida. If like everybody bottles out, I would like to be first alternate on that. And I know there's Psycho Fest that's in Vegas as well, and there's some other ones that we want to get onto. Like that's really the way you do it these days. Is like if you're a band like we are, we're a progressive metal band, so that's what we do. Name Siege, Night Shift Siege. Good night, Siege. Thank you for watching, Siege. We'll see you later. Sancho Bohemian, thank you, Maine. It's a struggle to pick yourself back up, but Maine, it feels good. Good for you. I'm glad. Please don't zero yourself out. No one should do that. And now these super chats are starting to slow down. I found myself being more prone to cold approach thanks to the Player's Handbook. Cool. I've had some amusing encounters with misreads. Good. Well, it's always a learning. There's a learning curve, obviously. And I think, I'll tell you what's funny is I'm seeing all of these stats or these like they're like armchair statisticians, right? It's like Twitter polls and everything. It's like, well, the reason you'll even hear Destiny say this, but like people like William Costello and Alex from Date Psych will ramble on about this, and Mac and Murphy will say the same thing. It's like, well, the reason why these incels aren't getting any pussy is because they're not making approaches. They're not going out there and actually talking to the girls. Okay, well, guess what? Here's the player's handbook. Oops. Okay, that was pretty funny. That's my desk. That's the auto desk. Here's the player's handbook. Here's the player's handbook. And I was like, I thought maybe I hit the gas on my chair. This is the player's handbook, right? If you're going to criticize the red pill for like not telling these guys, okay, you criticize the guys in the red pill for whatever the fuck it is that you want to criticize them for. At least be consistent in your criticism, because if I'm showing you guys, like, again, the player's handbook is not here's how you do it. This is why it works, or this is the concepts behind these techniques, right? It's not it's a how it works, not a why it's a why it works, not a how-to book. But it does require you to actually go out and take action. In fact, that's the first chapter, or that's in the introduction. You've got to actually go out and do things. You have to stay consistent. You got to do stuff, right? Oh, those red pill guys don't tell you to go out there and they just tell you you're doomed. No, we don't, asshat. But get out there and do it. Thank you for the glowing endorsement for Player's Handbook, which, by the way, the classes for that are done. I'm waiting for the new year to put them out. I'm dicing them up right now. All the things I couldn't get to because of the show and everything else I was doing, I can get to now because I got nothing but time. All right, here we go. Those red pill guys. We need to create a show called Those Red Pill Guys. Thank you, just some guys. Yes, those red pill guys. Who are you talking about? Whoever could it be? And PP. Oh my goodness, PP's here. Hey. PP? PP. There you go.
Guilty.
Always a pleasure, and thank you for your contributions to Ned's, not his college fund, his medical fund. Much appreciated. By the way, all proceeds from today's show go directly to the $15,000 I've already spent on Ned's recovery. Let's see. Wandering Warrior. I just saw Jedediah's latest Instagram pic. Come on, Gen X brother Rolo, spill the beans. I don't know. I don't know where she is. I saw that too. She hasn't let anybody know. She just told me she moved. And I think people think my relationship with Jedediah is like much deeper than it actually is. We talk about like family stuff and where she's going, what she's doing, but I don't know what her plan is coming up. People are trying to guess where, like, she put this like kind of like nebulous picture of her like staring out like the highway, and it looks like some sagebrush and there's some mountains there. And sorry, but that looks like Nevada. I could walk out my front door and it looks like Nevada. If I'm looking at the Sierras, which I can see from here, kind of looks like that. But people were saying it was like Bozeman, Montana, or Wyoming, or Jackson Hole, or some shit like that, which would be cool because then she'd be closer and I could get her down to Vegas to do some shows. Because I really trust me on this. As soon as I found out that she was done with Valuetainment, the first thing me and Miguel were talking about was let's get her. Sorry, these are now slowing down a little bit. Rolo, I've been listening to a lot of your older videos, some only a year old. You look so different. Good job. Thanks again for your work. I look so different, do I? Would you like me to come clean about that? I'll be happy to come clean about that. I'll tell you in a minute. Let's get to this one. This is good. Canaan, become what you say, don't say what you become. Pithy, my friend, pithy. Well, thank you for it. So would you like to know why I look the way I do now? When I started doing what I became like, I showed my face, right? For the longest time, I didn't show my face. I had to. It was like a requirement. I had to protect like my family, as you know, that's the first thing that happens. Everybody doxes you. But there was a protection aspect for me staying as anonymous as I could. And then I also worked in wine and spirits, and I had to be careful to protect the brands that I represented at that time, because I had about 24 brands that were in my portfolio that I had to, like, some of them were like my proprietary brands. Like, I still have ownership in 2 of those right now. But I had to be careful because there were some brands that would have been just absolutely, they would have loved the fact I have more market reach than pretty much damn near every brand that I have. Like, my personal role, Tomas the Irrational Male, has more reach, I would say, than some of the let's just say like 90% of the brands I used to represent. And I had to be careful of that because some of those brands would not have appreciated Rolo. And some of them would, but those were the minority. And so I had to be very careful of protecting that, because I had seen it happen before where, you know, people in the manosphere, and this was like in the early days too. So we got to remember this was from 2005 all the way up to 2013, 2014. And that's when I started doing gig. I got in the gig economy, and then I started getting into the, you know, influencer, or whatever the fuck we call it, hustle economy, grifter economy. But I was doing freelance stuff. I made more money doing gig work than I did doing, you know, what I was doing. And but I had to be careful. Even then, I had to be careful. I didn't actually. The first time I actually showed my face or made a public appearance was 2017 at the 21 convention. And then prior to that, I was doing like audio. I did audio interviews quite a bit. In fact, the first interview I did with Rich Cooper was an audio interview. Even Pat Campbell, I mean, he had a terrestrial radio show, and I wasn't really showing my face on his show, but I had already been public by that point. And I mean, I did that on purpose because I had to also protect the people that I was working for, and then protect my family as well. But, you know, now I look different. Yeah, people look at my old stuff when I was just starting out. I was just doing the shows with Pat Campbell, and they go, "Man, he looks skinny. He looked thin." Yeah, it was. You know what? You want to know why? I'll come clean with you. I was doing kratom at that time, and if you've ever done kratom, it's a physical addiction, is what it is. And like, I've never been like a heavy drinker or anything like that. It wasn't really. I'd never been to AA. I never had a DUI or anything. I worked in the business. I stopped drinking in was it 2017, like December of 2017. But I haven't had a drink in like 6 years. But I made that decision because not because I had a problem, but because I wanted to write the 3rd book. And I was just like, you know what, I really got to hunker down and do this, because I had to do all the research. I had to talk to people. I was doing more like public appearances, and I really had to focus on religion, which was the 4th book, because it had to be very, very, well researched, because it was religion, right? I had to make sure I crossed my T's and dotted my I's on everything I did. So I made a promise to myself. I said, I'm not going to drink until I publish the 3rd or the 4th book. And that book took me 3 years to do. So, and then by the time there, I was just like, you know what? You know, I don't really feel a need to. I'm much more efficient, much more, I'm a better human being, right? When I'm not recovering. Like, it wasn't so much, I just didn't like the feeling of being hungover. I love to drink, but I just didn't like feeling hungover. And so, like, a lot of people say, well, you drink because you're trying to escape your demons, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I just want to enjoy the good times. That's really all I was doing. But, and then I worked in the industry for so long, and I learned my lesson from other people's mistakes as well. So it was at that point, and then I was doing kratom at that time. And then I got off of that, and I realized I was very thin as a result of that, because it kills your appetite. And I was like, I need to stop doing this shit too. And so that's when I gave that up. And then I got back into bodybuilding a lot. Well, we're certainly within the last like 2 or 3 years. I've always lifted, but I've never really been focused on building until the last like year and a half. So when people look at my physique right now, and they go, "Well, he's young, he's swallow Tomasi." The thing is here's the thing is like you see me like right now, you only see me from like here up. Right. Unless I do one of these numbers, like, you don't know that I have, you know, some sort of muscularity to me. Right. But if you look at like some of my old like talks, yeah, I've always been a hard gainer. I've always had like the swimmer's body, not the bodybuilder's body. And so that was also putting on muscle has been something that I like to do. I'm gonna try. I've always been thin, but like the putting on muscle has been somewhat of a challenge for me for a long time. And then I started doing TRT, and then it helped that I moved here to this studio because literally my gym is I can skateboard too. I can take my longboard. Yes, I have a longboard. I can take that to the gym damn near every day. So been doing that a lot more. And it also helps that I've been going to Powerhouse Gym in Las Vegas with Hide Yamagishi. So if you haven't seen that video, it's in my archives here. I just did it not too long ago. What do you got here? Thank you. Jesus is slow. Sam, John, Rolo, how to package the red pill knowledge message in a manner to make it more acceptable to friends, family members, blue pilled by society and faith since infancy. Okay. You have to pick your battles. I'm just going to give you the standard boilerplate for this, which is the red pill unplugging men from the matrix, let's just say, is triage. You help the ones that you can, and you read Last Rites to the Dying, and then you move on to the next one. Because people who are going to reject the red pill are going to do it no matter what. And especially if they are if their personalities are dependent on that system, then you can make a college try, make an effort, take a good stab at it. But my best suggestion is this, especially this for also like for men who are fathers who have like, but maybe you have it could be like your brother and like your sons, right? Pick your battles and be conversational about it. Ask questions, use Socratic method, right? Ask questions that lead the witness, So you say, hey, what do you think about this? Why do you think that way? Why do you think so-and-so divorced so-and-so? Don't you think that's kind of fucked up that, whatever, just wait for those moments. Like if people are talking about something, don't be accusatory, but just like say, what do you think about this? Just so you're leading people with the questions to where you want them to go. That's probably the best way I've discovered. And it's usually about people that I care about. Like, I think it's funny is you can get a guy, you can tell your best friend, like if you tell your best friend, hey man, you should stop smoking because smoking's bad for you and it'll hurt you, right? You're going to get COPD or something and, emphysema or some shit. And if you get your friend off of smoking, you're a fucking hero. And if you help a friend like kick a heroin habit, then you're a fucking hero. But if you're the guy who says, you know what, I think you're going to ruin your life if you marry this bitch. Now you're putting your nose where it doesn't belong. And now you're meddling. If they're happy. If they're happy, why does it matter for you? Like that kind of shit. You're being judgmental. Yeah. Yes, I am. Because I don't want to see you ruin your life like this. But that is unacceptable, period. Than helping a friend get off of heroin. So try to keep that should put some things into perspective for you. Heroin or a bad marriage. So anyways, that's the big head baby's speech. Let's see. See what else I can get for you here. I hope that like covered a lot. I think that just that big head babies chapter. Oh, Jesus Christ, did I fall off? I am going to restart the stream. So if you guys will bear with me for 1 second. I am at the point right now. I need to like put some video up and I know it's going to choke. So hang on 1 second. Much better. Okay, let's see. Will it go on now? Why, yes, it will. All I have to do is reload, right? StreamYard, fix your shit. Same thing, man. It seems like if I reload, then I can now like host videos better. And you guys like this? You guys like the angle here? I like the angle now. There you go. Am I? Are you sure about that? Why do you say so, Mr. Morgan? How am I making money off of others? Tell me. Come on, hater. Throw it at me. if you're going to put it in all caps, wait, I got to read this. You're nothing but a two-faced human individual. Liar. Lear. Dude, come back when you finish your ESL classes, my friends. If you're going to put it in caps, then I'm going to read it like you put it in caps, like caps lock hustler. There you go. Caps lock hustler. You got it right. See? How am I doing that? By selling books that I've been selling for 10 years? Okay. Yeah, you are. English. Do you speak it? English, motherfucker. Yeah. So anyways, let's see what I got here. I want to throw out a couple other videos that I have here really quickly because I think these are sort of pertinent to. Is that it? I don't think that was it. 3 lessons I learned. No, that's not it. That's not it either. Oh, wait, this was a good one. Oh, I didn't put this in the intro, but this is this sort of leads us back to a prior topic here. So with this. And there goes my monetization. Actually, let's pull that off there just so we don't have to. You can have an idea here. You don't need the stupid music here, but this is I guess a montage of guys literally breaking their legs so they can get an extra like 2 inches of height. And I have another video on here too that was sort of followed up after this, and it's like all these girls. It was in this was in a Twitter post. Somebody made me aware of this. And like, this is like, it's crazy too. Like, that's how tall the dude was. And then he's like, now he's up to like 5'11" or 6 feet or some shit like that. Who knows? Like, God damn, man. Now this is like looks maxing to the extreme. I get it. But I think this is like one of those montages where, pull that out now. One of those montages that sort of puts things into perspective, because I think I heard, it might have been Jasmine Jafar talking about how, people who are the same height, they tend to find each other. Like, it's like a sort of mating bullshit again. They tend to find each other. And they, people who are the same height find each other and they get married. They get married, right? Well, that's funny because when you go and you look at studies that look at what do women filter for on dating apps? Height is number one. And that was like one of the things that they had. It's a check this box kind of thing. It's one of those things that it was so common that they included it in the female delusion calculator, right? Well, how tall does the guy have to be? And 9 times out of 10, they're looking for a guy who's like 5'11", 6 foot, whatever. Like, and once you get past that 6 foot mark, that's where it's at. That filters out a whole lot of guys. Had to quit kratom. I'm addicted for 3 years now. I'm also thin and feel like I'm stuck in my comfort zone because of it. Yeah, because it's poor man's fucking. It's poor man's opioids is what it is. The withdrawals are terrible. Yeah, they are. 9 grams a day. Yeah, it is time to stop, bro. You have to wean yourself off of it. You have to go, if you're on 9 grams, go to 8 for a week, then go to 7, then go to 6, and just wean yourself off of it. That's the best way I can tell you to do it. And by the way, I had to look it up on YouTube. Like, how do you get off of fucking kratom? Now, I honestly, I think kratom needs to be regulated, but it's not. You can go to any head shop and find kratom today. And it has a similar effect to, like, it relaxes you, like, mellows you out and everything, but yeah, no thanks. No thanks. My drug of choice is caffeine and stress these days. So Devil Mountain Coffee helped me get off of kratom. Thank you. Anyways, getting back to the height thing. I have some other things to do here. What do I think about Casey Zander? Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Hold on, you get one of these. What do you think about Casey Zander? From my perspective, his insights are quite true. I like Casey Zander. I met him a couple times at the 21 convention. I don't have anything bad to say about the guy. I think that sometimes might be a little bit on the woo-woo side, but I don't know. From what I have seen, I don't know enough to really speak knowledgeably, so I'm just gonna kind of leave it there. But I've met him at least once or twice, I believe. God damn it! Here we go. What do you think of Homath's content? I used some of it last week, as a matter of fact. Let me see if I can dovetail that in there. Fan I am. One of the let's see if I can find the where did it go? I have a folder full of data images here. Where did it go? Hypergamy. Yeah, here we go. I do have that. And in case you're wondering where I love Homath. Don't get me wrong. This is not a flame or a kick in the teeth or anything like that. I love Homath, but this is where he got his material from. Or well, this material anyways. Where'd it go? So this is hypergamy. In fact, maybe we'll just go this way here. That's hypergamy. This chart has been around forever. So when he's like showing you like this cutesy, and by the way, it is funny, and he's a good comic artist. He can illustrate his stuff very well, and he makes the more complex stuff simplistic that people can sort of digest and move on. And that's what I like about Homath. But this is really the graph from which he's drawing most of his material from. And again, this has been around for a long time. When I'm talking to Jasmine Jafar, or when I'm talking to, let me pull that down. I'll come back to that. When I'm talking to Jasmine Jafar, I'm talking to Mia Khalifa. When I'm talking to Farah, and I'm looking at like, well, hypergamy doesn't mean what you think it means. Well, let's go back to that old chestnut, because you'll hear Farah will said the same thing. Jasmine Jafar is just another carbon copy, right? And it's like, well, hypergamy is just marrying up. No, it's not. It used to be. And I think people like get upset that the people in the red pill like have taken the term hypergamy and then added more meaning to the definition of hypergamy. So when I talk about hypergamy, I'm not just talking about I'm talking about alpha fucks and beta bucks. Okay. Dualistic mating strategy, which is a thing. I'm sorry to burst your bubble here, which is a thing. I can show it to you over and over and over again on Twitter. Every day there's an example of dual mating strategy. Every single day. So I try to make a snarky, like sarcastic, comment or retweet on this when I see it. And by the way, yes, I'm going to get to the teacher student sex relations between female teachers and their young students as well, which is another great example of dual mating strategy, not mate switching hypothesis. Like everybody wants to soft sell it so the little ladies don't get their feelings hurt. But we're going to talk about dual mating strategy, and dual mating strategy is this in a nutshell. On the left-hand side is the assortive mating model. And then, of course, people sell this as which men would be happy with. Like men would be happy to get one with a woman who is across from them, like a lateral move, or one higher. That's what men would be happy with. Women who would be happy partnered with these guys. So you're looking at 8s, 9s, and 10s at the top. So even the ones are still looking for the 8s. And I think it was Mike Sartain recently. This was on what show were we on? Oh, it was on Access Vegas, of course. We were talking about this and how he was saying that, women who are like 4s see men who are, women in general see men who are like 5s as 0s, 6s as 0s, 7s as 0s, 8s as 0s, 9s as 5s, and 10s as 10s. That's that was the way he put it. And I would put it in more subtler subtlety, my friend, subtlety, Mike. I would put that, I would maybe divide that out a little bit better, but the point taken, right? And that's really what it comes down to when you're looking at this stuff right here. Now, this is the original hypergamy layout. Anyways, that's from as far back as like 2012, I think. I remember debating that with like people on my blog and on SoSwap forums for a long time. But essentially what this is, though, if you look on the more interestingly, I think, as the left side of this column right here is assortive mating really versus hypergamy. And hypergamy gets misrepresented so many times. I've done so many shows trying to, clear the air and like explain what hypergamy really is. And hypergamy has to be, the definition has to be broadened. And I was very happy one day when somebody sent me a link to, I think it was Jordan Peterson on Joe Rogan back in like 2018 before Peterson lost his mind. And he used hypergamy in the same sense that I was using it, like alpha fucks and beta bucks. Like women will mate across and up. And that I think that a lot of people think that the left side of this diagram right here is really actually what hypergamy is. No, it's not. It's this side over here. Okay. Now I'm going to address something here in just a minute, but the new popular concept is this, is that women, but Rolo, most women marry men who are at their same socioeconomic level. If a college graduate marries another college graduate, a high school dropout marries another high school dropout. If a plumber marries, I don't know, a receptionist or some shit like that, whatever it is, they'll want to throw these ideals out there where it's like, well, regular normal people just like mate across. That's a sort of mating, isn't it? They like in the 20th century, you would be correct. If we went back to like the mid 90s, I would probably agree with you. Not after the internet. Not after the global sexual marketplace. That throws everything all akimbo right now. Actually, I shouldn't even say that. It's been sort of in disarray since the sexual revolution. Because once women were cut free of being quote unquote dependent on men, then it sort of freed them up to sort of show the tiger reveal, the zebra doesn't change its stripes, right? It reveals who they really are. When you give women hormonal birth control, when you give women the unilateral power of human reproduction, now you see what they're really about. So they might have said, well, the little ladies, that prior to the sexual revolution, we had a more balanced system, right? Men were, like I said, big head babies, right? Well, what did I just say a minute ago? It's feminism trying to still reap the benefits of men's protection, provider protector dynamic, but like resisting it. If there's any illustration, if you need a better illustration of responsibility without authority is slavery, look no further than big head babies, because the idea that women can have the 20th century or the chivalry, right? That's what the chivalry thing. Oh, chivalry's dead and feminism killed it, right? No, hormonal birth control killed it. The social media certainly killed it. The global sexual marketplace killed it. The perception of options, the perception of choice that women, the unprecedented selectivity of women killed it. And it's not because men didn't want to offer it anymore. It's just women didn't value it anymore. They don't value chivalry until chivalry, such as it is, it's not even chivalry. That's really like the romantic ideal. It's like romanticism. It's courtly love is what they're really referring to. It's not chivalry. Fucking hate that, man. It goes up my neck when people say, well, chivalry is opening the doors for girls and da 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 da. I'm like, no, it's not. Chivalry is a chivalric code amongst like knights or the Bushido code in feudal Japan, right? That's what it was about. And women were excluded from chivalry for a very long time, right up until like courtly love became a thing and the romantic ideal became a thing, and then it sort of inserted itself into chivalry. If you want to really say chivalry is something, it includes women, it's really feminism 1.0, because chivalry seemed like a great idea to women who had this romantic ideal that it was men's duty to provide them with a better life. And nothing says that better than a code of honor and ethics and loyalty and chivalry. Yeah, nothing outlines that any better. In its original intent, like you guys, you want to get back to true masculinity. Well, you want to get back to chivalry. You exclude women completely from the chivalric code, because that's what it was really. It was really chivalric code was really something that was it was a code that was was amongst men, right? Honor, loyalty, don't hit a man when he's down, that kind of stuff. It was a code that was initiated by the Roman Catholic Church during the medieval times. When they needed muscle, like moneyed landowners needed muscle, but they also needed sort of rules of engagement to go along with that. And that's how you got the chivalric code. It's also how you got, and by the way, it's not just unique to Western Europe. It's also in feudal Japan, as I said. So, it's like honor amongst men, and it's just, codified in a code called chivalry, right? Well, roll around to the 1400s, the high Renaissance or early Renaissance, like maybe the 1300s ish, right? That's when you got like guys out on, nobles and knights and everybody are out on campaign, and they got bored wives. They're sitting back in the castle going, I don't know, let's invite these troubadours in here and we're going to talk about courtly love and twill love, and trials and tests your, sing me a sonnet, write me a poem, give me a flowers, walk on this side of the street, open doors for me. All that shit is not chivalry. It's courtly love. It's the romantic ideal, but it is not chivalry. Like, get it straight before you start. You're going to come at me with true masculinity, then at least know the definition of chivalry. Thank you. The end. Anyways, getting back to this here, the across and up versus hypergamy. Well, the thing is like right after the sexual revolution, which came in the wake of hormonal birth control being popularized, now we see what women want. Okay, so if you're going to tell me that the graph on the setup there on the left hand side is really sort of indicative of assortive mating, then you're going to have to also convince me why like women also want to get with the bad boys. They like that one girl. We went and flew to like South Africa and got like blood diamonds, and then went to Uganda and traded them for something. Like, why would that be attractive to anyone on the left column? So what here? Hypothesis once again. Hypergamy is only women are hypergamous. Number one. And number two, and I'll explain to you why that is, because this gets mixed up. What does the red pill never talk about? Well, here you go. We do talk about this all the time, but only women are hypergamous, and the want or the desire for women to get the bigger and the better deal is what hypergamy is on the right hand side of this graph. There was a really brilliant article that was written, an essay, I want to really call it, by Roissy, Roissy, also known as Hartiste. You can find his work archived because he's no longer writing anymore, but you can find his work archived at heartiste.org, HEARTISTE.org. And one of those essays was about cads outbanging dads. So this comes back to the assortive mating thing. So when you look at who's marrying who's having babies with who, there was this very popular conception back, and this is back in like 2009, 2010, very popular conception that, well, maybe those cads, maybe those alpha males and those guys who are like banging a lot of women, they're not actually having children. So, or they're not marrying these girls. They're licking the ice cream, right? They're having sex with these girls and fucking with them. But they, because we have hormonal birth control and we have, casual sex now here in the 21st century, cads, meaning alpha male, dark triad guys, the hot guys that women want to, hot guy in the foam cannon party that women want to fuck, right? They're out banging dads, not out breeding dads, out banging dads. So if you were to take away hormonal birth control or the let's just say the assurances or the perception of sort of like security of hormonal birth control or even like on-demand abortion, if you were to take that away, who would be reproducing more? Would it be the alpha cads, or would it be the beta chad or the alpha chads, right? Or would it be the beta guys, the beta husbands, the guys you want to marry or the guys you want to fuck? And he put it in such a way, and I'm just going to paraphrase it because it was kind of a long article. So, but the notion is this, is that women want to fuck the chads. They want to fuck the alphas. They want to fuck Jason Momoa. They want Farrah sure the fuck wanted to fuck Justin Waller. I got proof. There's the want and the desire for that. So this chart here that I've seen Homath use is the left side of it. A lot of people want to say, well, that's indicative of the marriage market right now. And it is, but again, marriage sells, but who's buying, right? We're at the lowest rate of marriage in American history for sure. God knows what it is in Europe, right? We are at the lowest rate of divorce as well because ain't nobody getting married. Fewer and fewer people get less marriage, less divorce. Don't clap your cheeks for your religion because honestly, if you're Hindu, you have a better chance of having a successful marriage than you do if you're evangelical Christian, according to stats. That's what I got from James Sexton. But the idea of a sort of mating is old school. I mean, it's 20th century old school. And if we were living in 1986, 1996, I would probably agree with you. But the thing is like we have had the global sexual marketplace has exploded. The sexual revolution is still in full swing. The experiment that is the sexual revolution is still going right now. So what do trends indicate? And I want to make this fucking clear right now is I am sick to death of statisticians, academics, researchers, well-meaning, by the way, well-meaning. I'm not saying nothing against them. We're well-meaning about this. Jordan Peterson's one of them. Will Costello, Alex from Date Psych, Mac Murphy might be amongst those. Anybody who's like wants to come and be critical of the red pill. Every single stat that they use is premised on one principle or one operative goal: marriage, get together, long-term monogamy. And when we use that as the litmus test for mating strategies, you're out the fucking window, especially in the 20th century or 21st century. It's out the fucking window. You cannot determine who's promiscuous, who's monogamous, right? We were just talking about monogamy and promiscuity, right? The two can be part of human nature. They can exist in the same human being, right? I want to be like men, unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. Don't believe me? Go look at porn. Why is porn free? Unlimited access to unlimited sexuality in a virtual sense, right? Vicariously. You want to know why guys have such a problem with pornography, right? Porn addictions and everything else. We have unprecedented access to unlimited sexuality and unlimited availability. Same thing. So you take that in the same environment, in the post-sexual revolution environment, where all restraints on hypergamy, being alpha fucks and beta bucks, right, are gone and have been, let's say, progressively loosened to the point where they are today in 2023 since 1965. So here we are still talking about the same old bullshit, sort of mating. No, nobody's mating. Fewer and fewer people are getting married. And you know what? You have to take these stats, this assortative mating bullshit that might have been true, like I said, in the 20th century, and you have to apply that one data set, those data sets against who the fuck is getting married in the first place. And if they are getting married, and that's the litmus test, and that's the operative goal state that you think implies success between men and women, if that's what you think, you also have to take that and say, well, why are women and men not getting married like immediately? Why aren't they getting married at 19? Why don't we go back to the 60s where the average age of first marriage for a woman was like 19 and for a guy it was like 22? How come they just aren't lining up around the courthouse to get married? Well, because we fucked it up. Either that or human nature and sexual strategies and mating strategies are not what you fucking think they are. And they don't exist. Or maybe the real strategies rise to the top when you remove all the buffers and you remove all the social conventions and you remove all the stigmas. Prior to the sexual revolution, a woman who had a child out of wedlock was stigma. It was stigmatized. It was shameful for you to have a kid out of wedlock. My mother-in-law was from that generation that was prior to that, and she would say she couldn't believe like they had like the women today, right? And you think, oh, it's an old person. But she's right in this sense. Is like the at that time, you didn't even necessarily have to be like super religious. It was just something that brought shame on the family. And what would happen is if a young woman was like, God forbid, her high school years, but like a young woman had a child out of wedlock, that kid was a bastard. That's where the word comes from, bastard, fatherless child. And they would have to take that woman, and she would tell me this. She said they had to take it, and they would do what's called put her away. They put her away till she gave birth, 9 months, right? Gave birth, and either the child went up for adoption or it was raised by the grandparents, its grandparents, her parents, right? As if it was like a child that they had, trying to just sort of cover it. Like that was the extent and the degree that proper people would do, right? It was a shame. It was a stigma to have a child out of wedlock. Today, 42% of children are born out of wedlock. And single mothers, to be a single mother today, even by electively, you can choose to be a single mother today. You could freeze your eggs and later at a later date, have them fertilized by someone and then have those kids, and you get that. And you're going to get all full benefit of the state. You got all kinds of, checks and balances and insurances, let's just say, that you're going to be okay. Right. Even if you have a kid, because it's your human right to have a child. Right. No, guys have to jump through a lot of hoops. Obviously, they got to get a surrogate. But the thing is, you can electively have kids, without a father, without a mother. And it grants women almost a superhero status. They're doing it all. I don't need a man. I don't need a man. Well, he needs a masculine influence, but I can do it both. She's just as good a father as she is a mother. We want to turn single mothers. In fact, the stigma is completely gone. In fact, it's been reversed. Proud. In fact, they're superheroes. They are superheroes that are pregnant and fighting crime and evil or whatever. Yeah, they're proud to be single mothers. So, and by the way, understand that societal shift, at least in Western cultures, happened in less than 60 years, or about 60 years. That's a blink of an eye. I mean, that is super fast if you know anything about like demographics and you know anything about like social change. So what happened? Well, we removed the fear, we removed the threat point of pregnancy because we had hormonal birth control. And then, of course, after that, we got free love and we got Woodstock and we got the boomers and we got the, Sexual Revolution and, Playboy magazine and Larry Flint and Hustler and dirty movies in the 70s and key parties and disco and Studio 54. And then AIDS put the brake on it for a little while. And, that fundamentally changed things. But did it change things is what I'm asking, or did it just unleash what was already there? We removed the buffer of the stigma of being married. Like I've shown you maybe I still have the data sets up here. Where did I put it up? I have that still on tap. Well, you've seen me put these on. I could show you the stats of how divorce correlates almost identically with the rise in hormonal birth control use. Something happened. You tell me, man. I just work here. But when I look at this, I look at this as sort of mating. Yeah, I'm sure that eventually maybe that's how things, shake out. Certainly in the 20th century they did, but that doesn't change the desire. There's a reason why your grandmother wanted to go see Aquaman. Because she's not a fan of, she doesn't care about DC Comics. She wants to go see Jason fucking Momoa. Why? Because of this. Does that mean that she's going to be able to optimize it? No, of course not. But the desire is there. And that's what should be focused on when we're looking at defining male and female mating strategies. Not who's marrying who, not who's of the same similar economic class, which also, by the way, I think is a sort of a specious argument. There's your vocabulary word. Because as soon as a man, or as soon as a woman makes more money than the man, then that's the precipitator of divorce. For all the people who are on the left side of this graph, yeah, stay on top of your game, King. Make sure you do so. But that's hypergamy. And I want to, thank you, Sammy, thanks for getting the plan B on there. I needed to get that up. I also had one other thing here that I wanted to get to. please join my mailing list. Hypergamy. There we go. Okay, so I've got two. Oh, I know what it was. It's false equivalencies. I meant the wrong one. I wrote an essay a long time ago called False Equivalencies. If you've read the Player's Handbook, it is in the Player's Handbook. There we go. False Equivalencies. There we go. I wrote this in 2017, February of 2017. God, has it been that long? And I'm going to just read you little excerpts from this because people really bastardize hypergamy. The things I was trying to explain to Farah in that clip, I've already covered as far back at, well, certainly 2017. Actually, I covered it long before then. But I'll show you the breakdown of actually what the conversation was really about. But before I do, I want to read you false equivalencies. Now, why did I call this essay false equivalencies? Well, let me share the screen for you. This is false equivalencies right here. So this is from my false equivalencies, February 28th. Boy, last day of the month on 2017. So this is from that article. And well, why did I call it false equivalencies? Well, because there was a concept at that time that men were just as hypergamous as women were. And this is not the case. This is categorically false. Women's sexual strategy is hypergamy, alpha fucks and beta bucks. It is an attempt to balance those two. Find the guy who is the best short-term mating, fun sex, hot guy in the foam cannon party guy, the guy who rocks her world, who lays down the good D, who she is aroused by and wants to basically have hot monkey sex with and rip his clothes off. Like that guy. He's a good candidate for reproduction. I want to have his babies. He's hot. He's fun. I want to fuck him, basically. And then there's the guy who's the dad, right? The cads or the dads. So it's cads versus dads. I don't know why they call it cads really, but I mean, you bear with me here. The guys who are the alphas versus the guys who are the providers, the betas. The people say, oh, he's a cuck. Well, not necessarily a cuck, but like that's a necessary part. We want to talk about promiscuity and monogamy. Okay. One of those males, the alpha guy that she wants to have sex with, is most definitely into promiscuity. And that puts a woman into the frame of mind that she wants to have promiscuous sex with this guy as well, because he represents an opportunity to have sexy sons. He represents an opportunity for fun sex. And again, are women like thinking this in the back? No, of course not. It's a proximate goal, not an ultimate outcome. Approximate outcome, not an ultimate outcome. The proximate goal is to have hot monkey sex with him. The ultimate goal is to reproduce with him and have his kids. Okay. There's a difference between proximate and ultimate. Let's just throw that out there from the beginning. But then there's the beta buck side. And this is why I keep emphasizing the fact that we need to look at both sides. The only thing Pharaoh wanted to talk about, and the only thing Destiny wants to talk about, and the only thing anybody who has any criticism for the red pill wants to talk about is the beta bucks, the beta bucks side, the provisioning, the security, the long-term security side of hypergamy, to the point where they want to ignore the alpha fuck side entirely. That's how you get stupid ass fucking theories like mate switching hypothesis. It's pandering to a gynocentric social order. That's essentially what it is. Dual mating strategy is much more realistic because it encompasses alpha fucks and beta bucks. Alpha fucks that we see every fucking day online. It is unavoidable. Take me away, take the red pill away, take all this shit away, take the manosphere away, and it's still there. You're still going to be looking it dead in the face. So, because it's unignorable now, and especially in a society, well, certainly Western society, but and a society based on mass media. So, with that said, why do I say that only women are hypergamous? Well, there's this misnomer, I think, that people say that, well, everybody makes comparisons. Everybody, don't men want the hottest girl they can find? Well, yeah, but that's not how male sexuality works. Male sexuality is like we're breeders of opportunity, man. If it's like you want to know, and I will explain to you exactly how I mean, right? If pornography represents the male mating strategy, which is unlimited access to unlimited sexuality, what does that look like? Well, it looks like fat girls, thin girls, spinners, tan girls, pale girls, black girls, Asian girls, blonde hair, brunette hair, red hair, interracial, intersexual, inter whatever. That's what it looks like. If you look at men have fetishes, right? Because we go for what works. We go for whatever it's the target of opportunity. These guys say, oh yeah, I like a girl with a little more weight to her. No, you don't. The last chick you fucked, they successfully had sex with, she happened to be a little bit thicker because she was probably more motivated to do it. So now you have a preference. No, not really. You probably still want to fuck a hot piece of ass, but that's okay. I'm into it. Yeah, because it's the path of least resistance. So, hey, if that's what you're about. Again, anything I'm saying right here is not a judgment call, but I'm just explaining the mechanics here for you. So when we're looking at men's sort of mating strategy versus women's mating strategy, men's mating strategy in no way looks anything like hypergamy because men do not have an attraction floor. A guy who is a 6 will still fuck a chick who's a 5 or a 4 after after a 6-pack, right? Go slump busting, banging fatties. He'll lower his standards just so he can get laid. They will do it. You guys know you will do it. Trust me. Oh, I remember, who's the fattest chick you ever fucked, right? Oh God, I remember this one. Yeah. Because men don't have an attraction floor. Women do. They have to. Because they have to be selective. They have the higher reproductive cost. Remember, big head babies. They have to be much more selective. They also have a higher, let's say, threshold for sexual disgust too. That's also been very well researched. Thank you, Rolf Dingen. Women have a more, let's say, finely tuned sense of sexual disgust. However, if you look at these college tests where they have these people go around, they have one really hot girl and one really hot guy go around these colleges, they've replicated. You want to talk about crisis of replication? Not in this experiment. They can go from university to university to university and the same results happen. And over the years, but over the decades too. The guy goes and he says he approaches women, and it's probably dangerous to do this now, but he'll go and say, he's an attractive guy. Say, hey, I got my apartment, my dorm's just down the street. Would you like to go have sex with me right now? Just same day, same hour lay, right? And 95% of women will turn him down, even as attractive as the guy was. I'm spitballing here. I'm pretty sure it was at least 90% of women would reject and turn the guy down for having sex with a guy within an hour of meeting him. The same was not true for the female, the hot female, as you know. In fact, the stats were something like, I think it was 60% of guys turned them down. And then there's even the guys who had girlfriends or who were married were still saying, yeah, I'll go fuck you. Right. Yeah, let's go. She would say pretty much the same line that the guy was saying, hey, I've got an apartment or we got a place up here. You want to fuck me right now? You want to go back and have sex? So you can see there's a difference there. There's a selectivity. There's a filter there. Men have unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. When Justin Waller talks about the red button that men would press, there's your example. There's your experiment. Tradcons, I would never do that. No, but you jerk off to Pornhub. No, but at least 45% of your male brethren are ready to, let's go, man. The wind blows, my dick gets hard, and I'm ready to rock. We're breeding of opportunity. We would press the button, especially if it was hey, it's available, it's right there, and there's no strings attached, and no one's going to find out. Guys are going to press that button. I'm not saying every guy would do that or would have the opportunity to do that, but they do that in various ways, either vicariously or directly, or maybe they hire a prostitute. They manufacture the opportunities that they don't have by paying for it. Okay? But that's the difference, because women are much more sexually selective than men are. And they have a higher threshold for sexual revulsion than men do. Men will That's why men have fetishes and women tend to stay pretty static with their sexual preferences or their sexual what they get off on, what they like. You'll find this in the first book. I have a chapter in there called women's mating standards, I think is what it's called. And this really at the time, this was really controversial. I don't think it's so controversial now, but women actually have a higher standard for male beauty than men have for female beauty. And I mean that in the sense and if you don't, once again, don't believe me, go look at the stats for Pornhub. Coming up in 2024, right? Well, for 2023 year, and look at all of the categories of porn. Skinny girls, fat girls, midgets, whatever. Look at all those categories that guys get off on. And so, ladies, whenever you use this line about like I can't compete with those porn girls, no, God damn it, you absolutely can compete with them. You just haven't found your niche, baby. You dye your hair purple, I guess, or whatever it is that like play to your strengths, right? But that's just a lack of like insight and creativity on your part. Because men will go and slump bust with a land whale, and yeah, you can compete. There's categories of porn for that too. Big, beautiful women. But that's the thing is women, but on the other hand, women have a higher standard for male beauty. They like that Greco-Roman look. It's maybe not the super bodybuilder look, but they want the swimmer body, right? They want some muscularity, some definition, to be super big. Although some girls do like that, but like the Brad Pitt swimmer's body, maybe that's a better way to talk about it. At the very least. V-taper, some, ab definition, things like that. I mean, what makes women aroused? Those things. That doesn't change. That has been static since Michelangelo made the David, or Michelangelo. That's Greco-Roman statuary. That's, those homosexuals who did that. Yeah, well, because that was a male ideal and women liked it too. Because if you were homosexual back then, you probably liked the same thing women did. So there was never any the Rubenesque. There was never any Rubenesque period for men. There's like, big fat women who are like more attractive or during the Renaissance or whatever. So anyways, let me get to false equivalencies here. One of the things I get here, one of the persistent questions I get asked about hypergamy is if there's a parallel to it in men. I've answered this in several comment threads, both here and in other forms, but I've never really addressed it in a post. So that's where I got to this. Okay. I want to keep going through here. Okay. This is what I wanted. This is actually the better way to explain this. People confuse optimization with hypergamy. Both men and women optimize, meaning they want the best that they can get of anything and everything. That's because we're good at pattern recognition as human beings, right? Men and women optimize everything. Jobs, cars, houses, furniture, friends, even churches. Men and women optimize with each other, but men and women optimize with the opposite sex in different ways. And that's where the confusion comes in. Hypergamy is, in its current iteration in the manosphere, means essentially is attracted only to people who are more attractive than I am. Women will be sexually attracted to men who they perceive as above them in attractiveness. They will be somewhat attracted to men who are at their rough sexual market value, SMV level, but that man must bring other things to the table, usually provisioning and commitment before she will have sex with him. And women are never really sexually attracted to men who are perceived as beneath their sexual market value. For example, a woman with an SMV of 7, she's a 7, right, will be sexually attracted to males with SMV of 8 and above. She will pair with the male who is also a 7, a lateral move, if and only if he can bring other things to the table. She will never be sexually attracted to a male 6 on down, and she will be able to easily get sex with men who are with men above her in sexual market value. She can occasionally get relationships with male 8s. She can easily get relationships and sex with male 7s. Male 6s, on the other hand, are her orbiters, with whom she'll never have sex with. That kind of that relates to a lot to what like Math has been talking about, like the not people, not a person. The not a person is whoever is below or women. Remember, this is perceptually, okay? Whether that's the actual, whether a woman said, well, oh, I'm a 6. Like what woman says that, right? When you ask a woman, well, where do you rate yourself? I'm a 10. Well, I guess that means that only 10s are good enough for you. Like by hypergamous standards, only 10s would ever be good enough for you to have sex with if you consider yourself like erroneously as a 10. Now, I understand why women do that, because they want to say, they don't always give yourself a pep talk. It's like psyching yourself up. Like, I'm a 10. Get the fuck out of here. It's funny to me because we've asked this of the girls on Access Vegas, like, where do you rate yourself? And the most beautiful women, like, I mean, these women are some of the most beautiful women on planet Earth. Certainly hotter than a lot of the other shows. We have the hottest chicks on. I'm just going to throw that out there. Ladies, Access girls, you're the hottest chicks on any of these shows. But mostly. But the thing is when you ask women who are, who make a living off of being hot, they are way more realistic about where they rate themselves. And they don't hesitate. I'm a 6. I'm a 7. I'm talking to like, was Amber Rose, not that Amber Rose, but the girl, Amber Rose, Penthouse Pet. Stunning, absolutely gorgeous woman. I'm a 7. What the fuck? But see, the thing is they are in a sexual marketplace of other women who are 8s and 9s and 10s. And that's how they make their living too. And so they're much more like sort of, I think they have a more realistic idea of like where they like measure up. Whereas if you're talking about women who are just like, I hate to say this, on whatever podcast or on like, Myron and Fresh, almost universally, these chicks say that they're 10s, and these girls are even close to being that, at least by Vegas standards. I got to sort of like put it regionally too, but they will like immediately say, I'm a 10, because that's what they've been like conditioned to say, right? If somebody asks you where you rate, always give yourself the highest rating. I don't really think of things in terms of rating. It's all subjective and everything. No, it's not. Beauty is very objective. But see, that's the point, is that ideal gets carried over into like guys thinking when it comes to like mating strategies, right? That's how you get mate switching hypothesis. That's how you get guys who are like male feminists, because they buy into that shit. So anyways, female critics of the broader definition of hypergamy, and by broader, I mean alpha fucks and beta bucks, often have a contrived problem with the distinction between optimization and hypergamy. Okay. Men optimize, but women are hypergamous. Okay. Let's see. This comes back. Women rate 80% of men as below average in attractiveness, right? We've already talked about that. That's, by the way, those stats are as old as at least 2017 when I wrote this. So when you contrast even loose statistics like this against the broader idea of hypergamy, you start to see why women would want there to be some analogous kind of hypergamy for men. Hypergamy in women is founded on 3 bedrock truths. Here we go. 1, persistent doubt that a woman has adequately optimized on hypergamy with any man that she has or will potentially have consolidated in a long-term relationship with. Okay. That's the very wordy way of saying who she gets with and who she settles on, who she locks down. Hypergamy never seeks its own level. Let me repeat that. Hypergamy never seeks its own level. Women are always looking for a better than equal pairing with men in respect to their own SMV compared to his. So when 80% of men are loosely agreed to be below average in attractiveness to women, we must consider that this assessment is measured in relation to what women's hypergamous doubt might be optimized with in a man. So this dovetails back into the first point, okay? So if 80% of guys are invisibles, basically, you've probably heard Mike Sartain talk about this, the guy at this, the shelf stalker at CVS. Women don't even see that guy. It's not that he's unattractive. He's invisible to women because he doesn't reach a basic threshold to merit her attention. So when you look at that, and then you look at the assessment as how it's measured in relation to women's hypergamous doubt, meaning, is he the best I can do? Whenever I mention hypergamous doubt, think of it in these terms. Is he the best I can do? And that is persistent for the rest of your lives, ladies. Is this guy still the best I can do? Could I get a better motherfucker than this guy? Like that guy. Like, you want to know why that, where did it go? You want to see that in action? I'll show you that in action here in just a second. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. This is this in action. Let me remove that from there. Is he the best I can do? Let's see. When women are faced with that, especially when guys like this was so good too. Where'd it go? Here it is. The intro clip there. That's not it. God damn it. Oh, this one. Yeah. Okay, here you go.
I've decided to move into another direction.
That's how you feel. I gotta respect it.
God, that's like a fucking player. Like a fucking G. Okay. So what is happening here? I'm good with that. You want to break up? I'm good with that. See you later. Look, when I've said this, yeah, Jade, is that, I don't even know who this bitch is, but she looks like a linebacker. But if you watch the hair, I'll let this play out because it's so good here.
And that's all you have to say. If that's how I feel, I'm gonna respect it.
You seem like
you said your one-liner. If that's all you have to say, let's hug and let's just let it go.
Okay, so this is like playing poker here. Called her bluff. So hey, I'm good with it. See you. If that's what I don't want you to stick around and do anything that you don't want to do. I don't want you to stick. I don't want to be fucking a woman who doesn't want to fuck me. Hell, that should be standard operating procedures there. But what's happening right here is you see when she got her bluff called. Notice what she does. She tries to backpedal. She's like, hey, why aren't you fighting for me? Because you ain't worth fighting for. That right there is, I can do better than you. So when a man, like, you want to know who, like, think about it this way. Who initiates divorce the most? Women. 70%, at least 70%. Okay. Who initiates breakups? There's no marriage. Like you're in a relationship with a girl and she breaks up. Who do you think initiates those more? I would say women as well, because there's always this hypergamous doubt. Is he the best I can do? And what happens is when that breakup happens, when push comes to shove and you have this showdown like you are here, and then that guy's like, he doesn't try to fight and he doesn't try to like, oh wait, baby, you're the only one for me. Like when he doesn't do that, look what happens.
You ain't trying to fight for nothing.
You seem like you've already made your decision.
It ain't about me already making a decision. You don't have a rebuttal for nothing that I'm saying.
You've already made your decision.
I wanted you to say something.
I'm
you're not
listening
saying
to you speak.
It's not time to listen. It's time to talk.
See, there it is. Because once she's in that minute, like this whole thing, this exchange takes place in less than a minute, right? Less than 30 seconds, really. And you look at this and you see what's playing out here is hypergamous doubt. This is exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about hypergamy. Is he the best I can do? And he's like, well, I'm out. And then she's like, oh shit. Like her subconscious, like the parts of a woman's subconscious is like, oh shit, I just made a really big mistake. Maybe he is like, because if he wasn't the best I could do, he'll be fighting. He'd be like, he'd simp out. He'd be like, hey, wait, baby, I'll take you to Aruba. I'll do this. I'll try harder. We'll go to marriage counseling. I'll take you back after you cheated on me. No problem. You know what that says to a woman's like hindbrain? This motherfucker ain't for me. I don't have anything to do with this guy. But when you walk out, when like this, by the way, guys, this is a prime example of like when people are talking about game or people say you need to have the option or the balls to walk away from a situation that's not right for you. Here it's happening in black and white. And look at what the reaction is from this woman. It's like, oh, wait a minute.
All of the things you say you want to be there, you're here for me, you're all about the future and everything. You didn't even fight for a second.
Then why the fuck are you challenging him on it? Why would he have to? Why would he be about that? You're the one that's, at this point, like she's going to break up with the dude. She's going to break up with this guy. Let me pull this off of here now. in that moment. So anyways, getting back to my point here, that is the hypergamous doubt in action right there. And it's being challenged. Like it's the flip of it, right? It's a pretty good example of hypergamous. Is he the best I can do? And that's why I tell guys, cognitive dissonance for sure, Jones. But also you have to remember that when that woman is in that moment, that's a shit test. When women get called on a shit test, that's why that's a primary thing that's in in the player's handbook for sure. But we always tell, guys, reserve the right to walk away. And when you do, look what happens. Here's the thing. Now, you would have had a much different response if that woman had already checked out of the relationship. She had that same conversation and she was like, yeah, I don't care. You wouldn't have a show. There'd be no indignation. There'd be no bread and circuses with this, this clip. I don't even know where this is from. Somebody sent this to me on Instagram. But there would be she looks like Dennis Rodman. She does. There's that instance of realization. Whoa, he's okay with this? He must not be who I thought he was. He must act. I thought he was a chump. I thought he was a simp. I thought he would try to fight, and he's not. That implies value. And it's a value, or remember, it's a value exchange. Thank you, Tristan Tate. It's a value exchange. And he's like, you know what? You're not worth my investment in this. Do you guys remember? I forget who did it. Was it Michael B. Jordan? And I forget the chick that that broke up with him. That value exchange right there. And he's like, you don't want this. Somebody else is going to want this shit too, right? And everybody was proud of what the hell was that chick's name? I can't remember now. That whole breakup. It's like you look at it. Well, how come he's not fighting for me? Because you ain't worth fucking fighting for. And a guy who's high value, who realizes it's a better option for him to bug out of the relationship than it is to fight for you. That means that dude was much higher value than your hindbrain gave him credit for. That's the hypergamous doubt. Getting back to it. Let me put this back up on screen. Where'd it go? False equivalencies. There we go. All right. So this is great. Okay. So women's hypergamy is based in and the source of women's dualistic sexual strategy. The manosphere euphemism for this is alpha fucks and beta bucks. This is shorthand. This shorthand refers to hypergamy seeking optimization in both short-term and short-term sex breeding potential, and ideally long-term parental investment, protection, and provisioning, and long-term security potential. Okay, that's the difference. So did you get that? Women would love nothing better than to have a guy who looks like Jason Momoa, has a 12-inch dick and fucks them from here to Tuesday, but he's also great with the kids. He loves puppy dogs. He wants to have more kids. He likes rainbows. He likes Disneyland. He's funny. He's smart. He has a great job. He's well educated. That's when women say the full package. That's what they mean by the full package. That's the ideal state, the ideal balance between alpha fucks and beta bucks. Unfortunately, those two men don't exist in the same individual. So there's cads and dads, the men you want to fuck and the men you want to marry. So it's simply, and by the way, it's been like that for a long time. So getting back to it, where'd it go? Okay. But it's important to remember this. Okay. It's important to review these principles of hypergamy because for all of the protestations of women wanting an equal comparison, there are no parallels of hypergamy for men's sexual strategy. Here we go. Men do not operate like this at all. And that's the difference. Men are not attracted only to women who are above them in SMV. A man can be and often is attracted to women above him in sexual market value and to women at his sexual market value and also to women below him in sexual market value. What is also different is the level of women he can get and how well his relationships will work out based on his and her sexual market value. A man will be unable to continue a relationship with a woman above his sexual market value. He is very sexually attracted to them and occasionally lucks out and gets sex with one or two of them, but he can't sustain a relationship with them. He can get sex from women at his sexual market value level, but only if he goes all in and offers commitment. He can most easily get sex with women below him in sexual market value, many times with no strings attached sex. A male 6 will rarely get sex with a 7, but can't keep anything going with her. He's not even on the radar of female 8s on up. He can get sex with female 6s only if he offers commitment and provisioning. And he can most easily get sex with female 5s on down. So here's the difference. And here's the grand difference. A man is okay with having sex with women at and below his own sexual market value. In fact, he will be the happiest in relationships with women beneath his own sexual market value. A woman is meh about sex with men at her sexual market value level, and she is positively repulsed and sickened at having revulsion, remember, at having sex with men below her own sexual market value. She'll be happiest in a relationship with a man above her own sexual market value and can tolerate a man at her sexual market value. And she'll be miserable at best with a man beneath her sexual market value and will tend to blow up those relationships. Men and women both have attraction floors. Men's attraction floor is below their own sexual market value. Women's attraction floor is either above her sexual market value and sometimes at her sexual market value, but never beneath her sexual market value. And that is the operative in hypergamy. That is why when I look at Homath's, similar sketch to this, it's not about who women and men are pairing up with. It is who they want to pair up with, who they want to fuck, where the desire is. I could have got a better motherfucker. Is he the best I can do? You know what? That is he the best I can do? That supports everything on the right side of this list, on the right side of this graph here. Everything on the left side, remember, that's men who would be happy with a partner like that. So if you got a guy who's, remember, like if you go and you look at, like, say, the guy who's a 2, he'd be happy with a 1, a 2, or a 3. A guy who's let's just put it in the middle here. You got a guy who is a 5. He'd be happy with another 5. He'd be happy with a 6. He'd also be happy with a 4, or he'd be okay to fuck them, right? Sooner or later. Women, on the other hand, do not operate that way. This is why only women are hypergamous. It's not about optimization. It's not about, everybody makes comparisons. Women have an attraction floor. Men do not have an attraction floor. That's how it is, as simple as I can possibly put it. Get it through your fucking heads. Mac and Murphy, Alex from Date Psych, Will, whoever, anybody wants to come at me for whatever. I don't know who else. Anybody else wants to come at me, I'll be happy to throw this one at you too. Only women are hypergamous. That is their mating strategy. Men would love to have unlimited access to unlimited sexuality via porn or being able to realize it on their own. Simple as that. All right, let me go back up here to the comments and see what I got going. Stand up. Very funny. How to quit kratom. Oh, I already talked to you about that. Yeah, it's rough, dude. You can wean yourself off. The good news is you can wean yourself off. It is possible. And it is a physical addiction, by the way. What do you think of Homath's content? I just explained to you. I think it's good for the most part. Black community shows cads outbreeding dads not to be true. Yeah. The Academy is still taking the same empowerment rhetoric. 28-point sweep in undergraduate degrees based on gender from the 70s to now. Cool. Dr. Thunder. Oh, man, I miss you, dude. We need to talk about music again. Hit me up, man. Let's do a completely non-red pill related show. It would be a breath of fresh air. Funny you mentioned Carney. Funny you mentioned the different beta, alpha, and womanist characters in shows. Looking back on Cheers and Three's Company, it's easy to see who's who. Yes, even Jack Tripper, even what's his name, John Ritter. Even his character, who was supposed to be homosexual, he was supposed to be. He wasn't actually. He was heterosexual, pretending to be homosexual. Love your content. Have all 5 audiobooks. This is for Ned. Well, thank you very much. You know what? I will give you. There you go. I don't know why. I just gave it to you. Awake. Also, I had a super chat at the beginning. Did you? Let's see. Sammy picked that up. Oh, Lori Harvey is the one who dated Michael B. Jordan. Lori Harvey dated Michael B. Jordan for a year and a half before they broke up in June of 2022. And everyone was just beside themselves. I know. I remember. Oh, thank you. Oh, you rock.
Guilty.
Thank you. He could use it. Thank you very much. Dark Knight Dev, hey man, gosh, you guys, all of my regulars are in today. Even Mr. Gilliam has decided to show his face. That's great. You've said before that Spider-Man and Walter White's character arc are blue pill. What makes it that, and what shows movies have red pill character arc? Ooh, good question. Let me come back to that in just a second. Sorry to hear about Ned, brother. Sorry. Yeah, you don't know the half of it. Having a New Year's Eve party at my place with Boyd and Keck. Oh, right. If you and the missus happen to be in town, topic suggestion, alpha becoming beta and back to alpha as parental responsibilities change. Good topic. One of the things, give the dog a bone. Thank you very much for that. You know what, Jim, I'll put you up here for a second. Okay. So beta to alpha and as responsibilities change. I've seen this happen. I know why you're asking. So one of the things, and we can look at this sort of from a biological perspective. When men get married or they get into a long-term relationship, their testosterone levels drop. They decline. This is common knowledge. This has been researched. It's a physical fact. Men's serum testosterone declines once they get into a relationship or once they have kids or once they're certainly after marriage, right? There are certain environmental things that like prompt like a spike in testosterone. But one thing that drops testosterone is being in a monogamous relationship. Now, you can explain this away by saying, well, that's evolution, that's biology, right? That's the way things are designed so that the cad turns into the dad. He's more focused on parental investment. He wants to make sure his kids are raised right. He's more into his wife than he is into random pussy. So we can look at this from even a physical standpoint, that when a man gets married, his testosterone drops. There's also other factors too, by the way. So for instance, a man's testosterone spikes, and the idea of the proclivity for having sexual intercourse before a man leaves on a long trip, it also goes up. There's been research on this as well. And it's not just like modern research. We're talking about like even old school research. So men's testosterone will fluctuate depending on what his status is or what his, like if a man suspects his wife of infidelity, like jealousy, that jealousy response triggers a spike in testosterone as well. When a guy's Super Bowl team wins the Super Bowl, there's that victory. Like when men defeat a rival, they get a spike in testosterone as well. Even if it's like third party, even if it's just like, oh, my team won the Super Bowl, there's also a spike in testosterone at that point. Why is that? Why would that be a thing? Also, when a man goes from being single and his testosterone's here and he gets married, his testosterone comes down. When he gets divorced, testosterone goes back up again. Now, incrementally, depending on, the loss for how old he is and everything. Also, very well studied phenomenon. Why would that be? What would be the evolutionary advantage for that decline and then raising of the spiking again? What would that be? Like we can sit here and talk, we can speculate about this all day, but you can't argue the fact that it happens. So why does it happen? Why would evolution select for men whose testosterone dropped when they were parentally invested? And why would it spike again when it was time to, Papa was a rolling stone, man, to move on? Why? Well, that also kind of blows back to what you were talking about. Like you're maybe you're alpha while you're single, then you become sort of more beta when you are married. And then when you're an empty nester, or let's just say you get divorced or whatever reason, then you go back to being sort of more alpha. And Lord knows I've experienced that firsthand. Okay. Like I've gone from being like sort of like low key alpha in my rock star 20s to like getting involved with that BPD girlfriend that I had for 3.5, 4 years. and then coming back from that and becoming sort of like, I'm saying this facetiously, okay, but being more like a lesser alpha, I guess that's a designation that Royce used to like. There used to be designations of alpha, like greater alpha, alpha, lesser alpha, beta, less, whatever it was. That was his sort of sociosexual hierarchies. But I would just say, according to the survey that I took on Hartist's blog at one point, I would be considered a lesser alpha according to Royce. But going from that to that. Well, the thing is like when you do that, I think really you have to realize what's going on. You have to be self-aware of the changes that are going on in you, your personality, maybe your testosterone spikes. I've talked to a lot of guys recently who got on TRT, and they're not necessarily my age. It could be like in their mid 40s up to like their mid 50s. And they've told me that right after they got on TRT, their wives wanted to start fucking them again. And it was, maybe they were going to the gym and looking a little bit better, but it was almost like within there's probably about 10 weeks. We went about 10 weeks, 12 weeks. Their wives' libido suddenly spiked again. They didn't know why that was. Now, their theory is that, women pick up on the behavioral cues of that heightened testosterone level in that guy. Other people want to say, well, they can smell it on you. It's like the stinky, t-shirt, the sweaty t-shirt test that Marty Hazelton did. And maybe they kind of pheromonally can pick up on like increases in testosterone level via, smell. Jury's still out on that, but I'm not going to say it couldn't be possible. But certainly behaviorally, I think, you're certainly in a much better mood, and you're certainly, effort feels good. So there might be behavioral changes that happen as a result of going on TRT. The same could happen, I think, theoretically speaking, that if you were to be married and then you got divorced and your testosterone level spiked, and suddenly you're seen as more of an alpha than you were when you were married. Certainly less tolerant of putting up with the same bullshit that you did when you were married. So I think there's definitely some merit to it. I probably should dedicate a whole show to it at some point. Now getting back to Dark Dev, you said before the Spider-Man and Walter White's character are blue pill arcs, beta, or I guess blue pill, but mostly beta. What makes it that, and what shows, movies are red pill arcs? It's hard for me to say what's a red pill arc for a movie today, especially today. So let me explain the Spider-Man Walter White thing. Okay, Spider-Man, and by the way, also Captain America, I would throw into that category as well. If you look at the way that those characters are written, they're written as beta males who come instantly into superpowers. So maybe less so for Steve Rogers, aka Captain America. But remember, he was this weedy little skinny kid who wanted to go to World War II, and they wouldn't take him because he had flat feet, or he just didn't pass the physical measurement to be a soldier, right? So they put him in the super tank and give him some super sauce, and he becomes Captain America. And what Agent Carter wants to touch his chest and everything. Remember that? Yeah. So like suddenly he's got fucking packs, man. He didn't even have to work out. He just goes into the super chamber and he comes out and he's fucking yoked. Damn, man, that'd be great. But it happens like that overnight. Usually that is too much, too young, too fast, and you burn out, and it fucks you up for life, basically. But in 1950s and the 1960s, and I would say probably in the early 70s even as well, but the time when Stan Lee and the rest of these guys were writing these characters, they were nerds. They were dorks. They were geeks. They weren't getting pussy. Pussy. But Stan Lee
I don't get no hoes, man.
Stan Lee didn't get no hoes, man. But he was very creative, and he's a good artist, and Jack Kirby, and he knows all the Golden Age guys, and I'm going to nerd out on you. But the thing is that those characters were beta males who became super. They had the super sauce, the super tank. I got bit. I'm a teenage dork, and I got bit by a radioactive spider. Everything's radioactive too, by the way. I was just like, what the fuck? I've been watching Invincible recently too, part 2, the second season of Invincible. That's pretty funny. Spider-Man, right? He's irradiated and he gets spider powers. But what's the operative, the theme of Spider-Man? With great power comes what? Great responsibility, right? And that's supposed to teach you a lesson. But the character is still a weedy beta male who suddenly becomes so powerful, he doesn't have to worry about getting bullied anymore. He doesn't have to worry about, in fact, he's going to go fight crime. He's going to do the right thing. And that's kind of this story arc of this hopefulness, I think, that a lot of like sort of guys who are more of a beta male like mindset really adopt. Because it's like, what would I do if I had superpowers? I would never use them for evil. I would never turn into a supervillain. I would use them responsibly because with great power. And so it's this fantasy. It's almost this beta male fantasy of like, what would I do if I wasn't a beta male, but I still had the head and the heart of a beta male, but I was in an alpha male body. Well, I wouldn't bully anybody. I would never give anyone an atomic wedgie. I would use it responsibly, and I would do what Uncle Ben told me to do, you know? So there has to be that. So, but what it is it's the average guy. This is the beta male guy. It's the ordinary man in extraordinary circumstances. And that's really, if you also, by the way, if you look at like popular authors and stuff, like I'm going to use Stephen King. Stephen King writes himself into a lot of his stories. Most of his, if you want look at The Stand, I forget the name of the character, but the one character who's kind of like this nerdy guy, he ends up dying in The Stand. But he's this one nerdy character who obsesses over this chick, and he gets the chick gets like poached he gets amogged essentially. And the character is this kid who's written a whole bunch of like really great stories that keep getting rejected and rejected. And then I think on the 32nd like application, he got accepted for like a publishing of one of his stories kind of thing, which is a parallel to Stephen King's life, right? He was this nerdy, dorky kid who just kept at it and kept at it and kept at it, right? So what does he do? He writes himself into the story. And it's not looking at it. If you read The Stand and you read, I forget the name of the character. Is it Howard? I can't remember the guy's name, but in The Stand, I'm using The Stand. There's other characters in other, like, I think the Children of the Corn, there might be one too, but he tends to write himself into like, it doesn't have to be a main character. Sometimes it's just like some side character that gets offed in the story. But he likes, I think there's a sort of this self-gratification for like guys who want to write themselves. Is it Fat Harold? Is that what it was? Harold. That's what it was. And he's like he's the stereotypical incel grinding his teeth and gets amogged, and the chick the alpha takes his chick. And I mean, it's so blatantly obvious that it is Stephen King, right in there. I mean, it's so beta that it's cringy obvious that it's him in the story. So yeah, it's another one. And not to take anything away from Stephen King as a writer, as a person, whatever, you can say what you want to about him, but I think he's a really good creative writer for sure. But the archetype is there, and he inserts himself into it. The same things can happen for like guys who write Spider-Man or Captain America. Even the Joker, by the way, even the most recent Joker is still a characterization of an archetype. What would I do if I could just do whatever the fuck I want to? You know, you get what you deserve. Like that shit. Yeah. But by the way, they're not the only ones that do that. Women do this all the time. And I've just been recently sort of like picking away at this too. This is a little side venture I'm going to take here in just a moment. Have you ever watched The Handmaid's Tale? I don't watch it. I only watched enough to know what it was about. And I realize that the fantasy world that they live in is like just sort of this like misogynistic, androcentric hell where women are like forced to breed with women. It's the ultimate fear fantasy for women, is that they would be forced to have sex and to produce children with somebody who's not of their choosing. It basically takes the woman factor out of hypergamy completely. Like there is no hypergamy. Men take control of women's reproductive choices and selectivity, and that's essentially rape, right? I mean, that's what it boils down to. So you take control of that. And so you live in basically rape world. That's what the world of the Handmaid's Tale is. But the thing is like that's a fantasy that women, like when women write like fiction, it's usually based on it's a romance novel. Okay. It's the cad versus the dad. Who's the best one for me, right? Can I tame Tarzan, Beauty and the Beast? Or it's revenge fantasies. Here's what these evil men are doing, and here's how we would, if things had gone different and we actually had power, this is how we would rule. This is how we would dominate. This is how we would work things out. I can't even count how many different like narratives of this or different iterations of this. The Handmaid's Tale is an easy one to see. But A World Without Men. What was there was a sci-fi thing where all the men died except for like one or two guys, and then it was nothing but women all the time. And it was like, here's what we would do. Or that one, it was based on Fox News, and I want to say it was with Bill O'Reilly and Megyn Kelly or something like that. But it was like a fictionalization of what happened and how he would have got his comeuppance and how they would have got revenge. And it was very obvious that that's what they were writing about. Women tend to write those kind of revenge fantasies like, well, we can't win in the real world, so this is how we should have won, and this is really what's going on. This is why men are evil. This is why men are misogynists. This is why the patriarchy, yada, 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 yada. And it plays very well because it triggers indignation. And that indignation is set up against women and hypergamy, which is, the existential fear of women is to be forced to have a baby and basically ruin their lives because it's a lifetime commitment, right? With a child that is not of their choosing. That's why arranged marriages are so offensive today, because it's not of that woman's choosing. Even if their dad who would do the choosing would do better than they would, still it's intolerable. It's unconscionable to think of it in those terms. Or, for instance, like asking for a woman's hand in marriage from her father's hand, in marriage, right? What am I? Am I chattel to you? This is patriarchal, and or taking a man's last name, for instance. That's you want to break the mold. There you go. Now that brings me to this point. And thank you for bringing that up too, by the way, because that was a really good question. Just say here, if you do a TRT show, invite Red Pill Thor. Oh, he's already he's at the top of the list. Him, and I want to get Jay Campbell. Jay Campbell wants me to come on his show. I probably will go on his show and talk to him. I would love to do a show with him, Jay Campbell. There's another dude that Thor referred to me, and then probably Drew Bay, who's part of Masculine Geeks. If you ever watch my D&D streams, he's badass when it comes to biohacking. Yeah, definitely. Biohacking, yeah. And so is Jay Campbell. What do you think of the tactical soap that is infused with pheromones by Richard Cooper? Do you believe it is a legitimate product, or do you think it works? I don't know. I don't think so. If it does, I would like to see the clinical test results before I can give you any like affirmative or negative answer to that. I don't sell it. They've never approached me, and I don't think that I would probably ever endorse it. Not that I don't believe in the product, but it's until I see. I'm the kind of guy that needs to see proof in the pudding. So I don't know. Is that still a thing? Is he still doing that? Is the comic book character Spawn a beta? Probably, from what I remember of Spawn. If so, I can see why, despite the crazy stuff he does, and what he does. Oh, and what did you think of the most recent Predator movie called Prey? I'm nervous about this. I'm nervous about the next Aliens. Okay. You want me to tell you about Prey? I have not seen it yet, so I haven't watched it. I know it's on Hulu. I should probably watch it. I hate the fact that I get like put off from certain things, like certain things that I might actually enjoy. So I really got into The Expanse as a series, and it was great. I convinced my wife to actually watch it with me too. It was great. We actually, it's once we got past like the halfway through the first episode and you kind of get familiar with the characters, then you're really into it. But I really like The Expanse, but I stayed away from it for the longest time because I thought it was wokesy and I thought it was like feminist and it was just like female empowerment, fantasies and stuff like that. It wasn't. It was actually pretty good. especially Amos. I liked Amos's character quite a bit, but it was good. And I enjoyed it, and I felt bad that I was like, fuck, I avoided this because somebody said this was all wokesy and has nothing but tits, right? I'm like, nah. The same thing was said about Predator, the Prey, right? And somebody told me it was like Brave, but with the Predator in it. And Mike Sartain turned me on to it. And he said, you should really watch this. It's not too bad. He says it's actually a pretty well done show. And I thought, the brother was badass. Yeah. I thought it was interesting because he was telling me about the take. I haven't seen it yet. Mike kind of spoiled it for me, but I'm okay with that. I don't mind if people spoil. I'll still watch a movie if it's spoiled. It's like watching Dune. Like, I know I've read Dune so many times. You're not going to spoil Dune for me. So I think I said this recently. I told you I said this on the show with Creatrix or whatever her name was, with Brandy. I put out this tweet recently about the new Alien series that's coming out in I don't know, it's probably like maybe it's mid 2024. I'm not sure. I know that they're in production right now with it. They don't mention they mention who the character actors are, but they don't mention what the roles they play. There's no plot. There's no nothing. It's just like, these are the people who are going to be in the next Alien series. And I am just waiting for the other shoe to drop with this because it looks like shit just from the casting. And so I looked at this and I saw the announcement and I made a tweet about it. And my tweet was something like this. I said, like, judging by the, I wonder if I can find it, judging by the characters in this, just this picture, what do you think like the roles are here? Let me see if I can find this. I think I might have put it in, would it be media? It might be media. But it was interesting. So I'm looking at the cast of characters for this. And I know nothing about the actors. They're not big name actors or anything like that. And where'd it go? Let's see if I can find it. Oh wait, it wasn't then. It's my profile somewhere in here. Let's see if I can find this. Here we go. So my comment was like, who do you think is going to be the unnecessarily gay character? Who's going to be the main character? Who's going to be the villain? And if I can just find the picture here, you'll see what I'm talking about. But it was pretty much standard fare for like what you would expect from a new series, right? And I'm like, what are they actually going to do that's different from any other series right now? It's like they always follow this same kind of boilerplate for all. Oh, there it is. Sorry. It's Cognitive Vigilance actually was the name of the let's see if I can put this over here. Put this back. Now I got the link for you for Cognitive Vigilance, but let's see if I can find that for you. It's Aliens. I'm a big fan of Aliens, in case you didn't know. There it is. Okay, here it is. Back. Let me just I'll just show you let's share this with you. Here it is. Here we go. Okay, so this is my tweet here. Okay. Let me shrink myself down here. Based on the cast pictures alone, who do you think is the main character, the love interest, the needlessly homosexual character, and the villain / Judas character is? Because there's always one. Like, there's always the betrayer, right? That's usually the android. I would say the white guy is going to be the android betrayer in all of this. He's the corporate guy who's going to be the bad guy. The black chick with the short hair in the middle, I would say that's probably going to be the main character because that's how they go about this. The needlessly homosexual character will probably be the guy to her left, I would say. And then the hardy, dependable, conventionally masculine male who still needs to be schooled by the ladies will be the black guy that's to her right. I don't know exactly what to think about the ginger girl on the far right, and then the other black and white girl on the other side of there. I'm not really sure where they would go, but those were my predictions, and pretty much everything else that pretty much everything that everyone else was saying was pretty much spot on about that. So I was looking, and again, it follows those stupid archetypes. It's the same show over and over and over again, like Handmaid's Tale, same show. I was watching, I'm probably going to dump it now, but I was watching For All Mankind. God, it was good. It was really good right up until like the third or fourth episode. And I'm like, what the fuck am I watching here? And it's a female empowerment fantasy is what it is. And that's really where women, that's maybe that plays. I was talking about this with the guys on Rule Zero and how, was it Bob Iger? We were talking about Elon Musk and his comments, go fuck yourself. We're talking about Elon Musk and how he was just like, he can't be bought. Well, he can be bought. He's probably already written off the $44 billion that he spent on Twitter. And so he's just like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I was a little concerned that maybe he was off his meds or something when he said that, because he didn't seem like he could like string a sentence together coherently. But I still got to give him props for doing what he did. He went on that was that New York, I forget the name of the show that he was on. Yeah, he's transforming, but I also got to remind everyone before you go and make Elon Musk into the great white hope. Remember, this is the same guy who wanted to provide, abortion passports for his female employees in 2022, when everybody thought that when Roe v. Wade got kicked back to the states, that there was going to be abortion states and there was going to be non-abortion states. And, we better get out ahead of this thing. And he was offering stipends to female employees who needed to cross state lines to go get an abortion. He rolls that one out in 2022. And then by 2022, end of it, or the beginning of 2023, he's rambling on about how we need to help fix the fertility rate being below replacement level. I'm like, you're the motherfucker who wanted to give abortion passports. Where the fuck is that guy? And so it's like whatever the zeitgeist is really what he jumps on top of. So I don't know. He is self-admittedly an Asperger's syndrome guy, and definitely on the spectrum. That doesn't mean he's not a great guy. It doesn't mean he doesn't know what he's kicks ass and takes names, but I still have to factor that in. Last, but I want to get to this. I want to talk about. I had this thing on modern marriage. Where was it? I have a video file. No, not that. Oh, this chick was just fucking annoying. In fact, you know what? I'm thinking I'll throw her back up here again.
Crazy the things that men will say when their egos are bruised. Typically for me, when they take.
Okay, presuming the point. Their egos are bruised. No, maybe they're just rationally critically thinking about what you're saying, and they're offering you a rebuttal. Just because a man offers you some kind of advice or tells you about a process or tells you something, like shares his expertise, that is not always fucking mansplaining. And it is also, if somebody is critical of you, they're not necessarily judging you, although they should. I think men should judge women a whole lot more. But it doesn't imply that there is a fragile ego to be bruised. That's where we're starting with this, so by the way, that's tilling the fields right here.
My content too personally. Recently, I've gotten feedback that my content.
Taking it personally because you are an influencer and it is broadcasting a message that other people disagree with. Are they going to say everyone takes everything personally? If you have an opinion and you express an opinion, it is your personal opinion.
Can be viewed as toxic femininity, that I need to be careful about the rhetoric that I use, that it could make my boys feel like their very existence on this earth is flawed. And
yes, because that's really what we tell young boys. That's what we tell boys today, is that they should either be gender loathing or to be a good, oh gosh, I should go dig those up. I know I have I'll dig up the photos of this. That they are good. It's like there used to be a push. I think it was like during the Me Too years, right? 2017, 2018. Women who were doing the great, pink hat pussy march, right? They had all these placards that say boys will be boys. And they would like cross out the last boys and they would say boys will be good humans. Essentially, the message from that is boys are not good humans. They have to, or boys won't be boys. Boys are, if your boys will be boys, means you're not a good human. To be a boy is to be not a good human.
And that it's wrongful and it's an inconvenience. And that because I'm teaching them to be a good human and a good partner.
There's that word again. A good partner. A good partner. Not a good husband. Not a good wife. Not a girlfriend. Not a boyfriend. A partner. I have the stats, by the way, for like the rise in the use of the word partner from Google, like Google reference or some shit like that. It's like astronomically higher for like starting right around 2006, I think.
They will not only hate me, but they're going to hate all women. And that I am working against myself to make men hate women. It's a little ironic because girls are too often, and this is not exclusive to culture, raised to believe that we are flawed, that our soul purpose is to end up with a man who will validate our entire existence.
Okay. If you were talking about 1952, I would agree with you. If you were talking about maybe even the mid 60s, I would agree with you. But since about 1965, every last trope that she's throwing out here has been systematically crushed over the course of 4 generations. And it's shit like this that drives me fucking insane. Because, society teaches boys to be boys. Boys will be boys. Society teaches men not to cry. Society is like this big shibboleth, right? This big ambiguous, like powerful, other thing. Society teaches X, Y, and Z. Anytime anyone tells you society teaches, they are a social constructionist. They think that personality is built by society, by social constructs. When anyone tells you that gender is a social construct, those are social constructionists. Even most of these people don't even know that they are. Destiny, definitely a social constructionist. I'm trying to think who else. Pretty much anybody who has like a real problem with like the red pill, their answer or the reason why the red pill, the empiricism that is the red pill, is offensive to them is because it challenges social constructionism. And usually with evolutionary biology, evolutionary psychology, it challenges the idea of the blank slate. The blank slate is everybody starts equal. And then you have layered on top of it, like learning from society and social, this and that and everything else. When in fact, it's really biological. It's really genetic. Most of your personality, not all of it, but most of your personality is genetically determined. People hate hearing that, but that's the fucking honest truth. So we'll validate our entire existence. Women are told to shut up and sit in the corner. Not according to For All Mankind. Not according to not according to Disney from, let's say, I don't know, the mid 80s. Who the fuck is she talking? Where is this being taught? Not in the schools, certainly not in college, certainly not in high school, certainly not in popular culture or popular media or popular music. They're not being told that. They're told Cardi B's telling them to have a wet ass pussy. They're not, if anything, they're being told that they can do anything. But we're still relying on these old 20th century tropes because it sounds like it sounds truthy.
Work your entire life to build a career, but you're worthless until you're married. At which
clearly not, because women aren't getting married until until the 0 hour, until they're about 30. Why do you think that more and more women are going to college? More like, where is that? Where are those stats? See, this is the point. I've made this before, is that feminism relies on 2 fundamental lies. One of those is that women can do anything. Women are superheroes. Women can be astronauts. Women can they're superhuman, but they're also victims at the same time. And so that victim side of things is you can do anything, but you're also taught to be a wallflower.
point, you should really put your career dreams aside because, you need to create a family. And by the way, the heavy lifting is going to be on you, so stop being selfish. Oh yeah, and can you please get your act together and put yourself together because you look like a mess.
I thought this was about your boys. I thought that this was about the critique of you being toxically feminine, whatever the fuck that even means, and gaslighting your boys or teaching them to be, I don't know, useful betas, maybe partners. But no, we've taken an opportunity to defend her raising her boys to do what? To explain the plight of girls.
And all that being said, many of us don't hate all men, don't resent men, still choose men to be our partners and share
There it is.
our lives with. I wouldn't worry so much about my sons resenting me or all women. I'm going to put my snarkiness aside.
Really?
Because it makes me sad that seeking equality is so threatening for some men. And
See, there it is. The by the way, that's a logical fallacy. Presuming the point. Presuming that this is the logical conclusion already. It like the argument contains the solution. It contains the premise and the solution in the argument itself. It's called presuming the point, right? And so you're already like before you can even end this. She doesn't even know she's doing this. She has no earthly clue that she's like this is just natural. It just flows out of her mouth like nothing.
that when I choose to do the only thing that I have in my power, which is to start change in my home with my boys, it makes
Okay, start change. Be the change you want to see in the world, right? So you'll notice that equality thing was thrown out there. And this will be the last thing I get to today. Sorry, I gotta go down and take Ned out. But when you're looking at women like this who are essentially raising the next generation of beta males, partners, they're not even males, they're allies. And notice that one of the things I wanted to point out is like if you are in any way let's see, if you think that the red pill is just an analogy to feminism, that is just the red pill is just there's a good one. If you think that the red pill is just the flip side of the same side of the different side of the same coin, right? I'm going to show you a couple of images here before we break here. Let's see where I can get that. Oh, that's a good one. Let's use that. If you think that the red pill is an analogy to where'd it go? There it is. If you think that red pill is an analogy for feminism, let me also point something out here. Until you see red pill men dressing this way and marching on Washington, the red pill is not your fucking feminism. It's not your analogy. It's not the flip side of your fucking coin. Until you see men like this in like, I don't know, pussy hats or whatever we would wear, like red pill hats, maybe like condom hats. Until you see this and you see hundreds of thousands of guys in the red pill marching like this, go fuck yourself. Until that happens, until the state is on the red pill men's side of the equation, go fuck yourself. Thank you, Elon Musk. I love your rhetoric. Until that happens, we are not the same. It is in no way the same. In fact, that's the thing that is so offensive to women such as this. Oh, we're just trying to get equality. No, you're not trying to get equality. There's no such thing as equality. What are we measuring against each other? What's the conditions? Equality does not happen in a vacuum. Equality of opportunity, equality of outcome. Is that what you want? What do you want? I'm going to throw this one out here, and this will be a bold statement here at the end, is most modern marriage today is based on Marxism. And I don't usually go political, but I'm saying this for effect, by the way. I did a kind of an impromptu poll. I didn't even make it a poll. I just asked for people's opinion on this on Twitter. And I said, if you believe in an equal partnership or an equal egalitarian marriage, like partners, we're 50-50, right? I don't need a man, but I want a man. Well, that's not a marriage, first off. And then second of all, if your marriage is based on, well, his strengths and her strengths, and if he likes to do these things and he wants to do this, or he wants to be a stay-at-home dad and I'm going to go out there and earn the money, then that's how it's going to work, and blah, 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 blah. So I put it in these terms, and I believe this was Marx, is like, from each's strengths to each's needs, right? I'm butchering that. I'm sure I'm paraphrasing that. But I kind of incorporated that into my question on Twitter. I said, do you think that an equal partnership, of a marriage that is based on an equal partnership, should be from each's strengths to the other's needs, which is Marxism. But man, people come out of the woodwork. They love that, because pretty much, if you're going to talk about egalitarian, equalist partnership marriages, it is fundamentally based on that Marxist principle. So when you're going to talk to me about marriage, you're going to talk to me about partnership, you're going to talk about what the problem is when you look at egalitarian equalism, the structures, the societal structures that they want to tell you that should exist, especially when it comes to like female control, like gynocentrism, is fundamentally egalitarian, but that egalitarianism is based on Marxism. It's based on, or at least Marxist principles anyways. I'm not saying it's based like directly on Karl Marx, but it is based on communitarianism, certainly socialism, at least on a bigger scale, but fundamentally in Marxism, even the marriages between equal partners, right? They won't even say husband and wife. They won't even take last names. Because that's really what it comes down to, is it's gynocentrism is fundamentally Marxist. And you will see that in every system that gynocentrism has an influence in. It's from, well, if he's better at taking out the trash, then that's what he should do. And if I'm better at washing the dishes, then that's what I should do. Right? Look for that. Yeah, the sisterhood uberalis, for sure. Look for those changes there. So anyways, let's see. What do we got here? Oh, Tristan, why are you calling? Not that Tristan. Seeing who's like getting to me here. Torsha said, I would not do a show with Saint and Sinner. He's known for being friendly before setting up a show that absolutely ambushes his guests. He's delusional. Be careful. I might not. We'll see. I told him I would. I actually like Satan. I actually kind of like it. I know he's kind of leaning more towards like the religious-y kind of stuff recently. And he's not the first one to do that too. Like I remember when Vox Day used to have a blog spot called Alpha blogspot.com, something like that. He hasn't written on it in ages, but like he went really super religious back in like 2014, 2015. And I don't know what happened to Vox. Does he still have the dark stream going on? I'm not really even sure if he even does anything anymore. But yeah, I get that. I get that vibe from him. Same thing with Roosh. Like when Roosh decided he wanted to go Orthodox Christian or Eastern Orthodox Christian, whatever it is. And so like I think a lot of guys, when they run out of gas, they tend to like lean more towards like religion, because they know that that's where they're going to get, where they're going to get some juice, I guess. He's the God Emperor. Does he think he's the God Emperor? Well, what's this? Saint Sinner is worse than Pearl. Look at what he did to your boy MLD. Yeah, let's MLD. Fox Day still does his dark stream. Really, I didn't know that. That's good. That's good. Before I bug out of here, I wanted to point out this. Gabriella Newfield, age 26, Boone, North Carolina, a science teacher at South Mecklenburg High School, arrested and charged with 5 felony counts of sexual activity with an 18-year, I didn't know that could be, it must have been earlier, student, bond set at $75,000. There's another one that's set to this. Every time I see these, expect me to throw that back in your mate switching face. Because if mate switching was a thing, if that was part of women's innate sexual strategies, hybristophilia wouldn't be a thing. And this pandemic of teachers who are about right around this age, by the way. How old is she? What did she say? 26 years old. Prime demographic. Not bad looking chick. I mean, she kind of breaks the mold because it's usually blonde white girls. But here it is. Why? And a lot of these girls, I don't say every single one, but like most of the majority of these women are already married. So ergo, they are switching mates. Some of them, you might even have a point. Some of them actually fall in love with their 14-year-old lover, who also happens to be a student, who also, she's now, of course, guilty of statutory rape because he's too young to give consent. Not that it makes any difference because she's female, but because there's a separate standard of justice for women. But I've talked about this. People ask me about this all the time. What do you think about the rash of female teachers, having sex with their students? Well, it's only a rash if it happens like, sort of like quickly and it goes away. That's a rash, right? It's been happening since the Pat Campbell days. Pat Campbell and I actually did shows about this, and it's still happening today. No one wants to address it. No one wants to point out the pattern here. No one wants to find the commonalities and the consistencies between the offenders and what it is that motivates. And here's the thing that gets me every single time, and I fucking hate this. Every single time I point this out and say, hey, hybristophilia, here's look at all these women who want to fuck, Richard Ramirez or Anders Breivik or, Nicholas Cruz. Here, oh, look, here's some teachers who are essentially statutorily raping their students. Not that the boys probably didn't enjoy it. They did, but they can't get away from those charges because those boys technically in the state of whatever they are can't give consent. So ergo, that woman, that teacher is now guilty of statutory rape. What do you have to say about that? Oh, they're damaged. They're psychotic. There's something wrong. They need therapy. They took Xanax, they had too much, Vyvanase. They had too much drugs in their system or whatever. But it happens consistently. Look, I've got a collection. I've got a folder full of these stories since 2017 when I was working with Pat. They can't all be fucking crazy. And they're all in the same industry, education. And they're all doing the same fucking thing. Same thing. That's the pattern. And it's consistent. It's a predictive framework. Explain it to me. They're crazy. They need therapy. They need help. Yeah, but it's only these people. No, they just need help. Like that. And that's always, you will always see stuff. If anything is, anytime you point out unflattering truths to women, even if you just point it out black and white and say, hey, what do you think about this? There's always the out. They're nuts. They're damaged goods. They're low quality women. Who would ever want to get with them? Right? That's always the easy out. What's funny is that guys don't get that easy out. Oh, that's just how men are. They're just violent and insane and just think with their dicks all the time. And everybody goes, yeah, you're right. Why can we not apply that same degree of objective realism to what's going on? And because if it happened, trust me, if there had been as many men doing exactly the same thing that female teachers are doing with their students, we would have a congressional committee on it right now. We would have a dedicated month, the International Prevent Male Teachers from Banging Their 12-year-old, 14-year-old Students month. That's what it would be. But we don't have that for the ladies. They're crazy. They're just nuts. What about hybristophilia? They're just nuts. But it happens all the time. And it's only women. And it's with convicted felons. And some of these guys are like hostile, violent offenders. They're crazy. But they have to separate female prison guards from this male population because it happens so consistently that they'll fall in love with the gang leader or the murderer, and they'll try to break him out. They're just nuts. It's like you can't fucking. It's unfalsifiable. You can't fucking win. So that's what I have to say about that stuff. What was this one here? Risk factors, alcohol use. I wasn't one. Which one did I want to get to? The cast of the other. This is about autism. I had some of these lined up here for later on. No, that wasn't it. Where's the other one? Here we go. This is great. Here's the parting shot right here. A number of U.S. population of adults is 129 million male of adults, 129 million. And the Justice Department estimates there are about 100,000. This is the Justice Department, 100,000 who they categorize as an incel. Notes, men and women, but mostly men. That is about 0.007% of the population. Incel is a slur. So I actually asked for this. I think it was on the last show. Like how many, what percentage of the population is like self-identifies as an incel? And apparently it's 0.007% of the population. But we have this overactive imagination on the part of apparently, guys who want to do this kind of like, slapdash research that we should all be, shelter in place because the incels are going to come and get you, right? Oh, they're not out there approaching. They're not out there talking to girls. It would be so much better if they just talk to girls. Probably not. Anyways, all right. That's it for today. All right, you guys, I got to go take the dog outside. Ned appreciates your patience. Thank you guys very much for watching today. Did I get anybody else? No, that's it. I think I am done. Done, and done. All right. Feminism has no end goal. Yeah. Well, it has the end goal of self-perpetuation is what it has. So there you go. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. The outro song is by Giovanni Sanders. If you want to find out more about my good friend Giovanni Sanders, who is not an incel, go and it's below the fold. Click more. That little thing says more on the description, and you'll find his link to his Spotify stuff. And he's got some really good new stuff too. I'm considering showcasing a couple of that on my end stream here. But do go check it out. He's got a new cover song that he's doing. I think this was for like a competition of some sorts. I'm not really sure. I know it might have been a Battle of the Bands thing. You're gonna laugh your ass off when you see what the cover is. But he's got some really, really good material. Giovanni Sanders, if you want to find him, he's on Spotify. The link is below the fold. Please click on that. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my Substack, why not? If you haven't subscribed or you don't follow me on Twitter, why not? You watch the show. If you haven't got the book, go to Amazon. You have any of these books. Look at all these books I have. I'm just like lousy with books, man. Look at all this shit. I'm going to find out if I can reveal the evidence I have of Farah and Justin. I got to ask Justin. I don't want to step. Farah I don't care about. It's Justin that I'm worried about, so I have to be careful of that. Maybe I'll put that on the next one. But anyways, I am here for the duration. There is no Access Vegas this week. Don't know about the coming weeks. It's going to depend. I'm just kind of touch and go with Ned right now. But I will do my best to do you a midweek stream now that I'm just housebound the entire time. So that's coming up. So people asked me about this question. They said, Rollo, when is the next edition of the first book coming out? As soon as I am done with it, which I'm like diligently working on because I got nothing else to do. So there you go. I had to sell my guitar collection. You have not seen would you like me to take pictures? Derek, would you like me to take pictures of my guitar collection? Because it's all of them are downstairs in the Cedar room right now. There you go. I run Bartertown. You mean Bartertown, the miniature? Like there used to be a Bartertown where it's like you would buy and sell like miniature war games, miniatures and stuff. I don't own Bartertown. Trust me. All right. I wish I did. I wish I did. Okay, guys, I will see you later. Thanks for watching. And then also follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, follow me at Substack, especially I got new stuff coming up on Substack this week. All right. I'll see you guys later. Thank you very much.
I need to feel you on top of me. It was my first time, but I was just a kid when we met and went to bed. It was my first time.
Rtrational Male. Registered trademark, all rights reserved, 2023. Don't steal Ned's stuff.
Say bitch, be cool. Be cool, honey. Say bitch, be cool. Tell that